Good morning. It is 9 a.m. on June 21, 2016. We'll call the meeting to order. Please call roll.
Pyrus de Carvalho.
Here.
Soldner.
Here.
Inskeep.
Here.
Deckent.
Here.
Dave Line.
Here.
Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Call on Pastor Darrell Peterson for a prayer. Good morning, Darrell.
Good morning, everybody. Let's pray. Dear Heavenly and most gracious Father, we just thank you for this day. Father, we've come together today to do what you ask us to do. And Father, we lift up our leadership in this community. And Father, we lift up our council members. And Father, we know there's so many decisions that's to be made, and some will be good and some maybe not quite so good. But Father, we just thank you for wisdom to know, and to know what our heart leads us to do and heart leads us to say. And I thank you, Father. We just pray blessings over this city, blessings over the council, and the leadership, Father. We just bless them as well. And every worker that works within this city, I thank you, Father God, for the people, for their heart, and for their commitment to the city. And I just thank you, Father, for good work. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank you, Darrell. Next item, please.
Item 4A, a presentation by Sunlight Children's Advocacy and Rights Foundation.
Welcome.
Thank you. My name is Susie Thien, and I'm the Executive Director of Sunlight Children's Advocacy and Rights Foundation, or SCARF. It's much easier to say that. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate the time. The reason I'm here is, you might be wondering, because our organization is out of Butler County. And we have two programs, and one is Sunlight Child Advocacy Center, and that is in El Dorado. And our second program is Sunshine Children's Home, which is in Andover. And our basic service area includes Butler, Elk, and Greenwood counties. What we have found out since we opened our children's home, which was in October of 2014, that we are getting children at our home from all over the state. I have given you some handouts. The first one just gives you a few statistics about our home and some information, and on the other side about our advocacy center. And I have very limited time here, so I'm not going to go into details about our Sunlight Child Advocacy Center. I'm going to focus on our children's home. When we decided that we were going to build the home, we had a needs assessment put together, and we projected 100 children from our service area in 1 year would be using our services. On the exact date of our 1 year anniversary, we served our 400th child. And so what you can see on the other sheet that I gave you is all the different counties from the state. We have gotten children from 52 different counties in Kansas. And Hutchinson has been, we have had several children from you folks. As of last month, the city of Hutchinson, we have received 11 children at our home. And how children end up at our home is they are taken, law enforcement determines it is not safe for them to stay at home, and they are put in what we call police protective custody. And the officers need to find a safe place for them to be before the case can get before a judge and determine where the more long-term placement would be. So if there are no foster homes available, or if there are no family members where it's appropriate for the child to be placed, they come to our home. And people, and as of today, we have served more than 700 children. The numbers have just kind of blown us away. People always ask me why we're getting so many children from all over the state. And I feel there are several reasons. One is the need is there. Child abuse is not something that anyone likes to talk about or think about, but I think even, on a very surface level, every day in the newspaper, we see more cases. So that is not going away. We all could find something else to do, but it's not going away. Another reason is there are very, very few facilities of our kind in the state, and I feel that's obvious. We have children who are being driven 2 to 3 hours to come to our facility. I don't feel that's what's best for children, but it's what's available. And the third reason is I do feel it's best for these children to come to our home, though, because the staff is incredible. And I don't include myself in that, so I feel like I can brag about that. I oversee both programs. We have staff who are there on the floor with these children 24/7. And it's a really tough job. And we take children literally from birth through 17. We have gotten many babies right from the hospital, 1 and 2 days old. And law enforcement has 72 business hours to get before a judge to determine what the next placement is. So our children stay with us very short term. So they come to our facility, they are well taken care of, they bond with the staff, and the staff bonds with them, and then they're out the door. And usually we do not know what happens to them. So I am amazed that we have very little turnover because it's a really tough job. Many of our I used to be in the schools, sorry. Many of our children come to us in the middle of the night. And so it's critical at all times, but especially in the middle of the night, that our staff can make them feel warm and welcome and safe. Safety is the biggest issue. It is a 15-bed facility. It is a very country-like setting in a country-style home, 11,400 square feet. We have 8 bedrooms. Very, very open environment. I invite you to check our website, which is www.scarfks.org. I've given John one of my cards, and so if anyone wants to contact me or get additional information, I'd be happy to share that. Excuse me. Funding is the Children's Home does get funding from the state, from Department for Children and Families. We get a daily stipend for each child. It is not enough to cover our needs. And so we also get funding from United Way of the Plains and United Way of El Dorado. And since we're getting children from so many different areas, I'm expanding my search to United Ways. For our Child Advocacy Center, that opened in 2007. And at the very beginning there, several of the Butler County cities agreed to give us an annual stipend. And so that program has no fees for services, but we do get additional grants at that program. So my main purpose for coming here today is awareness. And I want you folks to be aware that we are there. I should tell you where we are. We're at 21st and the Turnpike. You've probably driven past it. We're right off the Turnpike there. If you're familiar with Hope Community Church, which is at that intersection, we're right by them. They donated the land to us. So we were so grateful, and that started our whole journey. Like I said, awareness is our goal. Want you to know that we're out there. We also want everyone to be aware that there is child abuse going on in our state and in our communities. We are happy to be able to serve Hutchinson and the surrounding areas. And if you're ever in the area, I'd love to give you a tour. Thank you so much for your time, and if anyone has any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Any questions?
I'm just curious, how many such facilities are there in the state? Do you know?
I don't know.
There's one right here in Hutchinson. We have a children's emergency shelter.
And I could be wrong. I believe it's for juvenile offenders.
No.
There's another one. There were 2.
There's one that
Yeah.
is kind of secret.
Right.
Which is what
we
you're
have a
speaking
children's
about.
emergency shelter, which basically, I think, functions identically to what you're talking about. It's a 72-hour hold.
Yeah.
That's all the time they can keep them. Police bring them here again, and Dick could speak to that because I saw him. I guess I'm a little surprised at the overlap because I thought we were addressing the need here in the community. And obviously, we may not be.
Well, and, you know, I am aware of
Yeah.
the program. I know there is one for juvenile offenders.
Yeah, there
But
is for
when
juveniles,
we
yeah.
were doing our research,
Mhm.
I did come out here and look at your other
Yeah.
facility. And the reason I said I thought maybe it was just for JOs is because I know that there were some changes made in the past where
Yeah.
those groups had to be separated. But I can't answer your question.
Yeah.
I
That-
don't know.
That's interesting. I'm a little surprised, but thank you,
Yeah.
Lightning.
Thank you very much, Susie.
Thanks
Appreciate you
so
being
much.
here
Keep up the good work.
and the overview.
Yeah.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it. Thank you very
Appreciate
much.
your time.
Next item, please.
I'm surprised at the overlap.
Oral communications from the audience.
This is the time on the agenda where we invite those in the audience who would like to make any comments. We ask you to limit your comments to no more than 5 minutes and to items not on the agenda. And please give us your name and address. Anyone from the audience?
Good morning, Jan McCarron, Director of Planning and Development. I just want to give you a brief update on the comprehensive plan. We'll do a full presentation at the next meeting, but stakeholder interviews are this Thursday and Friday, and they specifically asked our consultant that we hired, Shockey Consulting, asked that we not have elected or appointed officials as part of these interviews. So letters have gone out to numerous folks throughout our community. They'll be holding those interviews here, this back room. So I just want to make you aware. And then our kickoff for the whole public is July 28th. So we're really excited, and we're planning, that will be at the atrium. Should be a good time to get input from the citizens. We'll also have a survey. That's all I have.
Thank you, Jana.
Thank you.
Anyone else from the audience?
Oh, all right. My name is Larry Kane. I live at 7500 North Lorraine. I have a house that's located on East C. I use this for storage for roofing. We do not use it as a building to outlet. It is only a storage. We keep the grass mowed.
Mr. Kane,
Mr. Kane?
have
yeah,
you received a notice
Yeah.
from the city?
I have.
And is that a possible demolition that you've received a notice about?
Yes.
That is on the agenda,
on
and
the
we will
agenda.
take that up later.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Next item under a public hearing, Mr. Kane.
So you have to repeat all that again.
Very good. All right.
Good morning,
Mr.
John Deerdoff, City Manager. I know we got a lot of people, so I'm going to be quick, but I want to take this opportunity to formally introduce Bruce Colley, our new Director of Engineering. He met the council last week. He's been on the job for 2 weeks now, and you know, Bruce was Bruce, if you want to stand up. Bruce was raised on a farm in Little River, Kansas, and he's a graduate from Kansas State University with a degree in civil engineering, and has spent most of his career working with consultants in some municipalities throughout the U.S., experience in civil engineering, project management, all the kind of things we do here in Hutchinson. And he actually came back to this area to take care of some family up in Little River, and that's how he ended up seeing our position ad. And so we're happy to welcome Bruce to the organization. And again, he's been here just about 2 weeks, and we've got orange cones on Main Street already,
Yeah.
so thank you for that. So.
Absolutely. Yes, thank you, John. First of all, I'm honored by the confidence that the city's placed in me to serve the residents in this capacity. And it's with great enthusiasm that I look forward to making a positive impact with other employees of the city of Hutchinson to make the city a better place to live and to work and to play. As Mr. Deerdoff mentioned, I've got long family ties historically in Reno County as well as Rice County. And with that, I have a vested interest in the community. So it's a very exciting opportunity to me, and I'm terrifically excited to be here and look forward to serving the city. And if there's no questions, many thanks for your welcome.
Thanks, Bruce.
Welcome, Bruce.
Welcome.
Thanks for bringing the extra orange cones.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Ah, yes, the orange cones.
Thank you, Bruce. Any other audience participants? All right, if not, next item, please.
5A through G, consent agenda.
I do have a question on 5E. Maybe it's just a matter of clarification. I think that's all it really requires. It's regarding the approval of the application for license to sell cereal malt beverage for the Hutch Fest. I guess my question, and in the packet we received, it had the location of the Bretts and Young Law Offices at 3 Compound Drive for the beer garden. That couldn't be where the beer garden's going to be during Hutch Fest. Does anybody have a clarification on,
No,
on actually where that is?
I don't.
It's actually in the Bretson Law Arena at the fairgrounds.
Oh, the Bretson Law Arena.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
at
So I
the,
don't know how that happened. I probably did it. But
Yeah.
okay.
So it's
So
actually on the fairgrounds.
It'll be on the fairgrounds, sir?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, very good. That helps me clarify.
Clothes that actually shows where
Yeah.
it was at.
I should have, yeah.
I saw that, and then there was a picture of the law office as
saw that
well,
too.
which was a little
Yeah.
confusing, but
Yeah.
verified, yeah.
Is that actually on the license that we need to clarify or not?
The license shows 2000 North Plum.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Fairgrounds.
Okay.
You're good.
Okay.
Okay, we're good.
right,
And
we're
it
good
has
again.
been through the approval and police department approval and what have you.
All right, very good. Okay. Any other items of question? I'd entertain a motion.
I'd move to approve the consent agenda.
Second?
Okay.
Please call roll.
Pyrus de Carvalho,
Yes.
Soldner,
Yes.
Inskeep,
Yes.
Deckent,
Yes.
Dave Light.
Yes. Next item, please.
Item 6A, public hearing to consider structures determined to be unsafe and dangerous.
Move to open the public,
first action is motion to the,
yeah. Move to open the public hearing.
Second.
motion and second. Please call roll.
Pyrus de Carvalho,
Yes.
Soldner,
Yes.
Inskeep,
Yes.
Deckent,
Yes.
Dave Light.
Yes.
Good morning, council. Trent Maxwell, building official. Bring you up to speed on, and here with the hearing. We met May 3rd to set a date for the hearing. Since then, we have published it 2 consecutive weeks. We also, before that happened, we had Security First Title do the research with the Register of Deeds. We sent out notices explaining when the hearing date was and the whole process. I have inspected each one of these properties, and we have quite the list, so I'm going to try to go through these briefly. If you have any questions, feel free to ask me. And I know there's several property owners here that are going to want to express their thoughts and feelings on their property. First one, 722 West Avenue A. This property owner is here, and they're going to discuss with you their time. Since they've acquired the property and they acquired it, I think within the past year, it was boarded up. They've removed the boards. The inside, this is a picture of the inside before they acquired the property. Everything had just been ripped down or fallen down by damage. And then since they've had it, they've cleaned it up. They're getting ready to go back with the new electricity, new plumbing, etc. So I know they're going to be proposing a timeline to repair their property. This is no address. It is the 1000 block of East Avenue C. This is the gentleman that spoke just a minute ago, so I know he'll have some discussion for you. 417 EC, no contact with the property owner. I think they are deceased. This is another picture of the side. 514 East Avenue C, I believe she is here, or she's at least been in and explained or discussed wanting to be here today. This property is open. It is full of belongings and items. It's not secure. The back porch area, which is right there, is open. So There's considerable rain damage. I don't know what kind of rodents would be inside there, but it might be a good home for some of them. 1015 East Avenue C. This gentleman also I've met with. They did want to save the property. I'm not sure if he's here today or not. This is what it looked like the first time. This is since I've discussed with him. I have not been given a timeline from him, other than they expressed that they wanted to save it. They put some house wrap on, a little bit of siding. This is the back before, and it has not changed. This is the back before we had our discussion, before we sent notices. And then that little structure he's removed since we've had our discussions with him. Just to back up, on this property there are 2 homes. The one in the far back is one, and this one here is the other. And then there were 2 accessory buildings, the one that was removed, and there is a garage right there in the back that has the metal on the siding. So there were 4 original structures on it. Now there's 3 and a partial foundation.
Trent, then are both residential structures part of the demolition, or just the
Yes.
one that you're? Yes.
Actually, how it works, because they're all on one property, if you don't have one primary use of the property being a residential home, then all accessory structures on the property turn into the condemnation list. The other one I wasn't aware was a home. We met, and he actually showed me the property. So that's when I learned that 2 were actually homes, probably at one point in time. Maybe they were on separate lots. I'm not sure on the structure behind that was demolished, what that was ever, if it was a home, if it was just a accessory structure. I'm not sure what that was. 527 Cary, I've met with the family. I believe the grandma passed away. The property is in very poor condition. This is the inside of the property. Someone has removed the front door, kind of gone through and maybe tried to salvage some things. 605 Cary, they did sign a release stating that they're fine with it to be demolished. This is the in-ground home. A few years ago, we had a house fire there, and the fire started, I believe, in the shed and spread to the in-ground home. But they are not contesting for the demolition. 615 Cary, this is owned by a brother and sister. I do not believe they're really contesting it. They did not sign in release, and one of them might be here to speak on their behalf, but it is in very poor condition. People have gone through and taken what they've wanted. I think the electrical has been removed. This is the back awning area or patio area. 317 East Avenue D. This is a back accessory structure that has no roof anymore. It's just partial walls holding it up. The back of the house. And this is that inside area of the back covered patio or porch. And the roof, this house is opened up in multiple areas. At one time it looked like they started to re-roof it. They never did finish it, and that's probably part of the problem here with the damage. 628 East Avenue D, this owner should be here. They do have a job. They were going to try to get some time off to come and speak. We've had violations on this house for many years. Since we sent violations out years ago, it had a front porch originally. That front porch has been removed, and I think that was removed about 2 years ago. The roof part of it has been replaced, which you see the green shingles there. The inside there are holes in the floor, so it's not really the safest place to walk on the inside. And then this is a picture of the garage, and it's in very poor condition. I believe the owner wants to save the property. I'm not sure. I've just spoke to them yesterday briefly, so I don't know of any kind of feasibility on their part, time frame on their part, or what their plans are. 1117 Milcon Street. This is what it looked like before. This gentleman did express some confidence. I believe they have properties that they rent, as well as He was a contractor. I believe he also flips properties too for part of his company. And this is what they've done so far. They are hiring all licensed contractors, electrical, plumbing, and mechanical contractors. I believe they're doing their own sheetrock, framing, the windows, the doors. So they replaced all the windows. They've had the service rebuilt, and power was turned on yesterday. He told me yesterday on the phone, and he might be here today as well, but he's in harvest. And within 30 days, it should be done and on the market. They're going to sell it. 218 South Reformatory spoke to one of the, I think, children of the owners of the home. They were not, they found out recently when they went through their mother's mail that they still own the property. They had no idea that, that they had it. And in 2009, I believe, is when the fire happened. It got boarded up, and nothing has changed since 2009. They have no desire to keep the property. They're looking for different groups to try to gift the property. Of course, I'm not in favor of that unless someone steps up and has the means to really put the time and money and effort into fixing it. Here's just some more photos of the back. There is a detached, I don't have it on the photo, but just to the east of this photo here, there's an accessory structure, a garage, single car garage. 724 West Sherman. This is on a dirt road. You don't even know Sherman's over there. You got to go past the railroad tracks and follow this dirt road around. But it's back there, and when everything's growing, you can't hardly even see the home. I've had no conversations with the property owner, so I'm not sure if they're here or what their plans are. 510 North Walnut. Probably 4 years ago, we had a lot of violations on the property. We've talked to different owners of the property, found out it was actually by land contract to a couple different owners. Some of this demolition of what you see with the OSB showing, there used to be a porch that was removed. Since that time, I think also within the past year, we found there was a new owner. The new owner has put some time, effort, and money into this. They did pull a permit. This is what it looks like as of last Thursday. They've done all new windows. They've reframed the front portion. And I've talked to the owners. I believe they have a couple storage units full of product they've bought for the home. And this is one issuing the permit. I was comfortable that they were able to make good on their word. And I believe they are here to speak on their behalf. 909 East First, we do have a signed consent also that they're not contesting the demolition on this home. This is just east of Crow's Auto Salvage. Last year there was a house just directly to the west that we also demolished. 1026 East 2nd, this property was recently sold to a local landlord. They've done a little bit of cleaning on the property in preparation. They have not pulled any permits. We haven't discussed in detail any set plans. He did send me a letter with a time frame, and I don't know if we have a representative. If not, I'll read you their time frame and what they're expecting to do. But they are expecting to rehab the property, and I believe probably have it in as a rental. And I can go through that in more detail if their owner doesn't have a representative here.
So is the prior owner that signed the consent?
Yes, that's
okay,
correct.
Okay, and then
Yep.
subsequently sold it, and now we're...
Absolutely. They didn't contest it, and I think they were exploring all options and found a buyer that wanted to invest in it. And so within the past 2 weeks is when I think those things changed. So. This is just the inside of that same house. 1501 East 4th used to be Gates Auto Repair, I believe, or tire business. I've spoken to the owner after we sent out the first notices. I haven't heard or discussed anything with him since. I'm not sure if he has a plan or if his things have changed on it. He originally wanted to figure out what it needed to be saved. So if he's here, he can speak better on what his plan is. And this is just a little bit on the overhang. And I discussed this with him. The overhang wasn't built properly originally. It does bow. The 2x6s are exceeding their spans. This is just the back of that property. 723 East 7th, we've had a lot of police activity in the years. We sent a board up notice. We went and boarded it up. We do mow the property, or we have in the past. This is the back of that same property. The garage there is open. It's not secure. There's also, and I don't have it here, there's also like a cellar door on the outside going to the basement, and it is open as well. But we had multiple calls of squatters in there, other type of activity, and so we boarded it up to prevent another house fire or something going wrong. 300 West 9th, they did pull a building permit. This is what it looked like before. And this is close to what it looks like today. I went by there on Thursday and took this photo. I went by there again yesterday. And part of the change is on the front porch, they have the decking down. Right now it's just framed. They have the paper on, and I think they had some shingles up there. So they want to save the property. Over on the right side above the bush, you see a little bit of shiny metal. That is where there was a second balcony. And originally it had staircase, I think, coming down for that access. They removed it. Their goal is to turn it back to a single-family home, if I understand them correctly. So they'll probably be here to discuss with you their time frame.
Trent, if I may, just a quick
Yes.
question about your strategy on these. So there are a few, such as this one and 722 West A, and then the Milcon property, that have shown significant improvement. And with all of the properties in town that could be on the demo list, is it just because you're trying to concentrate your efforts in certain areas for the greatest impact that we're choosing these, or is it because the improvement occurred after the conversation with you?
The improvement occurred after.
Okay.
So we had them on our list when we sent notices out, and then people started contacting me, and then property started changing hands. And the ones that, this one here is one that it didn't change hands. I think they've owned it for 6 years. But no, I haven't like isolated in particular areas. It's
Okay.
just, we've got a bunch on the list.
Yeah.
And I try to sort through, some of them are based on complaints. We get a lot of complaints on these properties. And one you'll see, and it came on the list by complaint only. It was very unsightly and in poor condition on the outside. I haven't even been on the inside of the property, but we get a lot of complaints on the house, and so I talked to the owners about that. But the ones that have pulled permits, they have, at least to me, expressed the ability to invest in the property, and I've told them there is no guarantee. You know, it still goes through the same process. That's why I left it on your
Gotcha.
list. I didn't remove it because it's still going to be up to you guys on what you're comfortable with, and also to get the process finished. We don't want a little bit started and nothing to ever get done and accomplished, so we're not making any headway, and eventually after a couple of years what little paint was put on is going to come off. And so my goal is, even with the ones with permits, is that there still is a deadline, there still is an end time
Yeah.
frame that we know it's going to be ready to be lived in or sold or rented or whatever the case may be. So
Well, and with that 510 North Walnut property,
Mhm.
hearing that has been through a couple land contracts is alarming, and really hammers home the idea that we need to do something policy-wise to prevent people being taken advantage of to that extent. 'Cause that was not livable.
That's right. No, it wasn't. And this one, the 510 actually had a dumpster in the front yard for 6 months or longer. And a lady had it, acquired it, and with that same goal with the land contract to fix it. And she did some improvements to get rid of the immediate hazards, but never did even come close to get it livable. And so the new owners, they're not on land contract, and they are repairing it for their own purpose for them to move into. So I think hopefully the interest is different, and I think
Yeah.
the money is different, and so I hope all around that turns out to be a good situation.
Yeah.
This is just that balcony that was there that they did remove and flash around the siding. And this is the back of what it looked like before. It's just slightly different now. There's a little bit of paint back there now. And this is the one I explained a minute ago. We've had a lot of complaints on this house. This was recently sold, and the new owner is here. As far as the outside, there is some rot damage to do with the roof. The vines were kind of out of control on the growing. They did keep the electrical on, and I believe it was either the water or the gas the whole time. And I'll go through some of these photos. This is what it looks like after, as of last Thursday. The vines have been removed. The new owner has cleaned up a lot on the outside just to do with the overgrowth. This is the original photo, also the original photo before the new owner took it. And this is after he's cleaned it up, so all that overgrowth is gone. That door is actually accessible now. 413 East 35th. I went by there to try to get some photos. It was locked up. This is one that I think Mr. Deckent expressed. On the outside, it looks just fine. It's a modular home. It's vinyl sided. Some of the windows have been broken. I don't know if that's by vandalism or what happened. The owners, I believe the son is here, but it's full of stuff. They've been working on getting it out. I don't know that they're really contesting demolition. The inside, there's a lot of damage from moisture. Some could be, I believe, cats. When I first walked in with the owner, there were holes in the floor. Couldn't hardly work around the home to get through it. And this is also the one that I wrote an inspection report for one of the social services to get aid for the mom because it wasn't livable, and they were looking at it as an asset. So I don't have any inside photos. Probably the family can speak a little more about the condition of the property on the inside, other than just me relating to what I, personally saw. There's a detached structure on this property. It's a garage. The siding is in very poor condition. And then if you drive by, or if you have driven by, the stuff on the outside, they are going through and kind of sorting through, I think, what they're going to want to keep and maybe what they're going to dispose of. And that's the detached garage. Trailer is also on their property. And that is the end of my PowerPoint or presentation. Of course, I'm recommending demolition of these structures. I do understand that there's some that I've given a little bit of faith in with the permits, and I've talked to them. And so how this works as far as the recommendation from what I've recommended and what might happen, I think is going to change. If you guys have any questions for me, even before...
Brent, let me ask, are there any on this list that you would recommend be removed from the demolition list?
Not removed, no.
Not removed. All right, very good. Okay.
And
I guess as a follow-up, go ahead, David.
I was just going to clarify, will the PowerPoint be accessible when the various individuals come up to speak?
Sure.
To be
Yeah,
able to look at the pictures again?
Yeah, let's go back.
If I can go through and when they get up,
It would
I
help
can...
me.
Yeah, let's go back to number one.
Yep,
Okay.
absolutely.
Start at the beginning.
Yeah, however, but just I
Well,
want to make sure it was accessible.
whatever order they come up in, I'll
We can
try to get to the
accommodate.
house.
Yeah, perfect.
All right, before we have any more comment, are there any questions of council on Trent's overview?
Well, not so much on the overview, as a follow-up to your question, Mayor. Will you or do you have any comments in terms of allowing a set period of time that you'd recommend as we go through? To say allow 30 days or 60 or 90 or whatever the case might be, based either on what may be said today or certainly what's said in conversations that you've had over the last whatever.
Definitely the ones that I've issued permits on.
Okay.
And then the one that just recently sold, 1026 East 2nd. This gentleman that bought that property, we actually have had many conversations with him on other properties. He is a landlord that lives in Vegas. I believe he has the financial means to correct the property. He's had our inspector walk through it. So short of the ones with the permits and this one, I would feel comfortable extending time to them. It's always a tough thing because every time we do an extension, then we come back again and we have a similar discussion to this.
Carriage house.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it is challenging because it's just time consuming. But I think there are those ones with the permits and the other one on 1026 East 2nd that I'm comfortable with my discussions with them of allowing them some time to repair that. They automatically get 30 days, part of the process to either demolish it themselves, to repair it, or et cetera. Before we come back again, we're going to come back in about 30 days again. Some of them are probably going to want a little more time than that. And I think a 3-month is reasonable, but some of these are quite extensive, and they might appeal to you to have more time. And you can only, I guess, use your judgment of what you feel comfortable with.
You probably said it through your presentation, and I didn't make notes on each one. Can you just tell us which ones have permits pulled? Do you have that?
Yes.
Right.
300 West 9th is one of them. 1117 Milcon Street and 510 North Walnut. Those are the three.
Okay.
So this one's
These are permits that have been issued.
correct.
I thought 722 West A had as well.
That one I don't believe.
No.
Let me check. I don't believe a permit was issued.
Yeah.
You
I could
say
have
in
written
your
it down
notes They turned
incorrectly.
in a plan, but they haven't.
They
But-
did,
And they've made progress according to the pictures maybe, but I don't know if there's actual progress.
correct. And she is here today. I think their original thought was going to be 6 months, and I think after talking to her today, July 21st would be their end date, which might even be before we come back on a normal process. Anyways, yeah, no permit was given on that, and part of the reason is if someone gives me a 6-month time frame, I'm not too comfortable issuing permits on that because it's still such a long process, and not knowing with how you guys are going to react or feel or what kind of confidence you're going to express to them, that's getting kind of long as far as extensions go. So on theirs, being that it was completely gutted, their original plan, I think, was 6 months. I didn't want to issue a permit and give them a false sense of hope and have you, not have the same confidence in them, or only give them 3 months and have them not have the financial means to get it done in 3 months. But I believe their plan has changed. I think they're actually going to find out today on some financing options on it. But their goal is by July 21st to have it complete.
And just to reiterate, all of these are unoccupied, not
Correct.
primary
All
residences.
Yep.
Okay, we have several in the audience that represent these properties, and I would ask as you come forward and make your comments that one of the things that I think council is going to be interested in is knowing if you're requesting an extension is whether or not you have the financial ability to actually execute the planned improvements. So that's very important, I think, for us to understand that. So we would continue this public hearing and invite any from the audience to come forth. And please state your name and your address. Thank you very much.
Hi, I'm Cynthia Denton, and I own 722 West Avenue A.
First one.
Okay.
And-
722 West Avenue.
Uh-huh. And we're in the process of getting a loan today for that property, so we should have it done by July 21st. So I should be able to come get our building permit this week and everything and have it started. And we'll be doing all the repairs ourselves.
There's a lot
I think
of
the
them.
first one.
Is
It
the very
is?
first one, yeah.
722, okay.
722 West Avenue A.
West Avenue A, yeah.
While
There.
Trent is flipping, I'm wondering if maybe we might just go in the order of those
That's
photos
just what I'm
so as to
thinking.
avoid flipping back and forth.
Sequential order helps.
And that way we can just move through the
Clarify
property.
who's here and who's not,
Yeah.
make a step forward
Yeah.
at that time, yeah. I'd made note, and maybe we need to go through the pictures again, that there has been some attempt to fix it already.
Yeah, we
are looking
have
at-
started on it.
Okay.
We bought the home and we put
Okay.
the roof, part of the roof was missing. So we put the roof on it, and then my husband's job took us clear to Tennessee. And we were there for 6 months, and since we've been back, this is what we've finished so far. So,
And financing is coming into play hopefully
yeah,
today.
today, we should have that money today.
And you anticipate being able to finish the house by,
July 21st.
actually finished by
It'll be
July
fin-
21st?
yes.
Wow.
So about-
My husband
about 30
builds homes
days,
for
huh?
a living.
Okay,
So-
okay. But you haven't pulled any permits heretofore?
No, not yet.
Okay, probably should.
Yeah, it would be this week.
Okay.
Yeah.
Pull the permit.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Trent, is it presumptuous to ask, is that a permit you would entertain? Do you need more information based on the dates, financing?
I think the financing, she'll let me know. That's a key thing. If she has the financial ability, then I wouldn't have any issue if you were comfortable with that motion to issue a permit for her today. A large part of it is, you know, any of these properties you can look and say, are they feasibly reasonable to repair? Not really. Now they're going to move into it, so maybe it makes financial sense for them to do it. And you can put whatever amount of money you want into any property. And so having a loan kind of gives that secure that they're able to make good on their word and get it done. If, like originally when we discussed, it was just going to be on a time frame basis when they got the money they were going to put into it. And that being a 6-month basis, all of people's lives change all the time, and that 6 months might turn into a year or a year and a half, and that's when it gets challenging for myself and even for them, because I'm constantly coming back to them and saying, okay, here we're at 6 months, you're still not complete, now we've got to go to council and discuss, you know, the little bit that has been done. So if she had financing, I would have no issue with issuing a permit.
Well, and not everyone has the skill set to do the work themselves, so that's certainly an advantage that a lot of people wouldn't have. I know we've invested a lot of money in that with the CDBG grant in that corridor, so we definitely want to see progress.
That's West 90s. Personally, I'm comfortable with letting her continue to go ahead and giving an extension or whatever we need to do. In other words, don't demolish it just yet.
And I would agree. And I might ask in my first rodeo, but is this how we do it, case by case, item, house by house?
Yep, pretty much.
And then we have a motion
In
at
the
the
form of a
end?
motion, yes, right.
Okay, all right. Yeah,
And are we looking typically in this one and others on a 3-month extension or not?
It's kind of been all over. 3 months, I'm comfortable with anything 3 months of the ones that have expressed the confidence and have the financial ability to do that. I think that's reasonable. Like with her case, you know, we'll know today on this. We'll be back again in 30 days to discuss. Unless you make a motion today to give a 3-month extension, then those I won't bring back. But the other bulk, I'm going to come back anyway, and we're going to seek bids and so forth. And so if there's any changes, we can
Because we've got to
discuss
take
that.
final action to actually order demolition
Correct.
at the 30-day.
Into 30 days, right?
Yeah. Today would just be establishing that we're the intent to demolish if something dramatic doesn't change.
That's right.
All right, anything else on 722 West Avenue A? Susie, anything else? Okay, all right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next.
I think the no address, East Avenue
This
C.
is Mr. Kane.
East
Larry.
Avenue.
Mr. Kane.
I'm Darren Kane. I'll go ahead and speak for my father.
Wonderful.
And your name?
Darren Kane.
Darren King, all
Mhm.
right.
This is we use this as a storage. We have a shop, but we use this as extra storage that for overflow on items that we have. We do not have any intent for living in this or to fix this up to live in. We do keep it maintained and mowed, and we would entertain, you know, boarding that up so nobody could get in, and we would like to continue to use this for storage purposes.
Trent, if I may just ask a question about that. Correct me if I'm wrong, but nothing in a residential area should be used for storage. I mean, even in commercial area, don't you need a special use permit to have a storage?
Yeah,
This is an industrial use, isn't it?
Correct. There are some commercial uses, and Jan or Casey might be able to speak more on this. Definitely for residential use, the primary structure, the primary use of the property dictates what that is. So if it's zoned for an R3 single-family home, then you have a single-family home on that property to be able to have an accessory building. An accessory building all by itself on an R3 property cannot remain in that use. And I don't know if she wants to elaborate on that, but.
Yeah, Trent's correct. Storage is not a primary use that's allowed in a residential zone. So we have other houses that we're aware of that are like this, and they're on our list to address, but this is not a permitted use. So to allow it to continue would not be appropriate on that basis.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
They have things stored, I mean, I don't know what those things are. When I drove by, they look like big pieces of foam that are out there. And so, to me, that's inappropriate for the neighborhood to begin with. And your notes originally indicate that they were going to tear it down, so I'm not quite sure what happened.
Yes, when I spoke to Larry, one of the days I was out talking to actually the neighbor across the street, and he expressed that by yesterday it was going to be torn down. So I actually drove by this morning just to see if it was. So I think, their plans have, or their wishes have changed. So.
Okay.
Okay, next property. 417 East Avenue C. Nope. Next. 514 East Avenue C.
Sorry, it's a health issue.
You're
You're fine.
The reason I haven't,
Can you give us your name, please?
Grace Nance,
Grace, all right.
the reason I haven't gotten it started fixing up is, one, I was depending on my nephew to do it, and I didn't realize he hadn't done anything. Number two is my health. I have finally gotten back to where I can work on it, and I would love to keep it so I can have a house to live in. I can't give you a time frame because I'm on a fixed income.
But you're not currently living there.
No,
no.
right now I'm living with the niece and nephew that's supposed to have been fixing it up.
Grace, I drove that property last Saturday, and oh my, I don't think I could afford ever to fix that place up. There's so much wrong. The trees that have fallen and crashed into the entryway.
Well, if I have to give it up, then I'm homeless, so I have no choice.
When's the last time you lived in there, Grace?
2008.
Okay.
I had been working on the inside a little bit at a time until my health got to where I couldn't. Right now, my legs make me take more breaks than what I like.
I take it, Grace, that's the home that you lived in up until 2008 for some time?
Yes, we bought it in 1988, I believe it was. And my husband passed away in 1998, and I was trying to fix it up so it was more livable after that. And I just didn't get it done. I had to do it by myself and work and take care of people, and so I'm just here to find out what's going to happen, and that's all I can say.
Sure.
Grace or Trent, do we know the assessed valuation on that property?
I do not. All I have is that she is current on her taxes. I don't know if she can speak to what the appraisal value is.
I have no idea.
I just can't imagine any scenario where that would ever be livable.
I can't either.
Do you have more pictures, Trent, besides that one?
May I have a chair, please? I'm sorry about this, but
No,
Don't
you're fine.
apologize.
you're fine.
Grace.
Sorry.
That's the one, Trent, where you described, of course, the back doors open or not even there anymore, and so it's
It's
enterable
The
by
house was broken
whoever and
into
whatever.
while I lived there.
Okay.
Several times, and people stole off the property and out of it. They have stolen ever since. I had a brand new roof put on the porch in probably 2005, and the neighbor on the west of me came over, it had a it had brand new 3/4 inch plywood with tar paper with the grid on it. And, because I hadn't decided what color I wanted my shingles. And I went down there 2 days after we got it put up, and the roof was stolen, and they had put up, I believe it's fiberboard or whatever it is, it's glued together. And they stole the ladder that I used, and so they've broken into it, they've stolen different items, and so it's up to you what happens to it. That's all I can say.
Grace, have you removed from the interior of the house whatever property you wish to retain or save?
No, I want to go down and go through it and clean it out. I just haven't been able to, because I've been in and out of the hospital.
Understand, yeah.
And if this goes on the list, there'd be 30 days in which to get that taken care of, right, Trent?
Yeah, after 30 days, then we'll come back and we'll ask for, to go out for bid for demolition, so.
Okay.
Grace, if we proceed with planning to demolish the structure, would 30 days be sufficient for you to
Oh, yes.
remove whatever
Yes.
belongings or property inside that house out of it?
Yes.
Somebody had mentioned or was curious about the value, so I went onto the Reno County assessor's site, and I'm not well versed, but I think I know what I'm looking at. It says the building value is at $2,200, $2,250, and the land at $1,190 for a total of $3,440, according to the Reno County. Correct.
Okay.
Grace, any other comments? Okay.
I'm not using, I do have one.
Yes.
I don't want you to think that I'm using my health as an excuse, because I am not. Because I know that I should have been able to do more if I could have had the doctor's permission. But I could not get that, so therefore, but it's no excuse.
It's a lot to do on your own, hon. We know that.
Huh?
It's a lot to do on your own.
Well,
We know that.
I've had a lot to do on my own, and I'm still gonna have to do it, so.
Yeah.
I just thought I had a nephew I could count on helping me, and he let me down a lot of ways,
Oh, sorry.
so.
Thank you, Grace.
Thank you, Grace.
Trent, next project, property. 1015 East Avenue C.
My name is Randy Jenkins, and I'm the son to Viola Angel that owns a house. And this is my sister. She's the one that's gonna move into it. We've been working on it, and we both, fell short of money there for a while, and then time. When you got work, when you got money, you don't have time, but when you have time, you don't have money. So we have the intention of fixing the house up. And I mean, I have pictures of what it looked like before, and the house has never looked as good as it does now, even at that state. But we come in and put the house wrap on and started putting siding on, and because I have to do this on the weekends, and it's just been, you know, with the heat, it's been tough. But we would like to get an extension on it, because we don't want the house to be tore down. I mean, she's gonna move into it as soon as we get it done.
Mr. Jenkins, can you detail some of the improvements you've made? Because I know we do have some before and after photos that have shown
Well,
progress.
Here's a picture of what the house looked like before. They really did a lot to it. But as far as
I'm Felicia Danowski, the sister, and we've put all new windows. It's got brand new steel doors, but it has been broke into, so my back steel door, it just got demolished. So now we have it boarded up. That's why we had all the windows boarded up. But now we've taken the boards down, and what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to build some shutters that I can lock over the windows so people can't break into it, because it keeps getting broke into.
Yes, they are.
And the other house in the back of it, we are going to fix it up, and that's going to be my brother's house. My mom inherited this from our grandparents, so we're trying to keep it going.
That's a fairly new metal roof, isn't it?
Oh,
It looks
yes.
newer, yeah.
I'm sorry, I put a new roof on it, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've spent a lot of money on this, but I lost, air compressor, ladders, a lot of material, and plus
This
that
seems to
new
be a
steel
common
door.
theme. If you're not on premise when you're doing the rehab and you leave any material or tools, you're certainly at risk.
Yes, it gets stolen and broken into, it does. But right now, we have to redo the sewer and the water lines, which that's not going to be that hard inside the house. But all new sewer line is what I'm trying to get the money for right now to do and finish. But if we could really get an
Do you
extension.
have some idea of what your cost could be to rehab it to your satisfaction, to live
To
in
get
it?
it livable, yeah.
Yeah.
we do the work ourselves, so.
You do the work yourself, okay?
Yes.
That'll cut down a lot of the costs. But as
Right.
far as material on plumbing and that, material isn't very expensive. It isn't very expensive for the material, you know, if you do the work yourself. And I don't have any idea what the cost would be, but they've got all the windows bought, and they got the windows and
Sir, your name, please?
bought, and
Sir,
also
your name, please?
Leslie Angel. I'm one of the owners, and I give it to the kids to,
Thank you.
so they're gonna be the ones. I told them to do most of the talking, so, because they're gonna be the ones dealing with you.
Sure.
So, and I just got a matter of time to get the deed and abstract and over in their name. And, but all of them's got metal roofs on them, the two houses, and this one here, Randy's got the metal on it. We'll get, but I feel like if they could have 6 months, it would, everything would look real nice there. I mean, it already made a big improvement.
Trent, how long has this been on your watchful eye, this property?
Here's a picture of what it looked like beforehand. And in 2007, you can see it was in pretty bad shape.
Absolutely. Me personally, it's been a few years that I've been aware of it, and there's been no structural failure, so it was just a matter of nothing changing. The back property or building was one of my biggest concerns. This is, it was open, and
that's gone.
he took that down. And then the fact that over the last several years, nothing visibly has changed to the property. And so that's why finally I put it on the list.
So if they would put together a plan and get it to you before our next 30-day discussion, that would be beneficial in helping us.
Yeah, I explained it to Mr. Angel at the property about the timeline and so forth and how the process works. So, you know, it's something we need if you're going to extend time, because they need to see it on paper of what they're committing to and what they feel they're comfortable doing. and present that in a way that you guys are comfortable giving them time.
Right, because it's obvious that they are making an effort and have put some time and money into it. But I want to see something in writing that tells me what you think you're going to be able to accomplish when. So, and I realize money is always an issue.
Oh, yeah.
But
We can do that.
But
We can
yeah,
give them
that
some-
would be really helpful.
Okay.
The windows, doors, and roof that you mentioned having been done, over what period of time have you accomplished doing that? Has it been over the last 6 or 8 years, or the last 6 or 8 months, or
The last 2 years.
last 2 years?
Yes, and then I went to work at Excel Industries and been working 58 hours a week, Monday through Saturday, 10-hour days. So Sunday was my only day off, and then brother wasn't available on Sundays, so, he's available on Saturdays. I was working on Saturdays, so that's why we haven't been able to get a lot done. But right now, I told him at work that I can't work no Saturdays anymore. I need to have that time off because I need to get this house done. So that's why him and I have been able to put some time in
Okay.
on it
Get a
recently.
plan in place.
Yes.
That's key. Get the plan.
Okay.
Okay? All
Okay.
right.
Thank you, folks.
Thank
Yep.
you.
Thank you.
Next property?
527 Carey.
527 Cary Street.
Okay.
Next. 605 Cary Street. Next.
That is the next one there.
615.
615 Cary Street. 317 East Avenue D.
I had a nice conversation with the next door neighbor Saturday. He's definitely ready to see that gone.
East Avenue D.
East Avenue D, yeah.
Yes, sir. 628 East Avenue F.
Yeah, Charles Mendenhall. I acquired this place about 4 years ago. I think it was being considered for condemnation at that time. Got a permit, got the roof, structurally sound. The back attached addition has remained in the condition that it is because we weren't real sure what we were going to do at that point. The plan is to remove the addition. We have windows, doors, paint, everything for the outside. So yeah.
Okay, here again, get a plan in place with Trent before 30 days, and then we'll see where we are.
Yes, ma'am.
Is this the one, Trent, that you acknowledged there were materials had, as he just mentioned?
No, that's another property.
That's a different property, okay.
He acknowledged that the roof had been done.
Yeah,
Right,
the roof,
right.
Yeah, over the probably 4 years or something, when we were looking at demolishing this years ago, it had a front porch that was practically caving in on itself. That since has been removed. And then the green shingles are new, so whatever roof work was done on that, so.
And do you have a couple more pictures or not of that one?
Yes.
Yeah, along the side.
And we do have some back due taxes on this one as well.
Yeah,
Not much.
It's,
And I might ask, back to what the mayor alluded to at the very beginning of the conversation, what kind of financial plan? Is this a pay-as-you-go product? Have you looked into traditional financing? Is that available? What are your thoughts?
Like I said, most of the material is there, that we would need. There's some odd and end stuff, but, me and my wife both work, so we have, definitely have the financial means to finish it. And I guess I might add, I have another home that I own that we live in, and we put an addition on it in 2010. So.
So what will this property
obviously
be?
I'm capable
Yeah, what would
of-
the
of
future
it.
use be?
Intention, yeah.
What will this property be for you then?
For one of my kids.
okay.
So I have a 16-year-old daughter that's going to be wanting to move out soon, and
You want her to? No, I'm just kidding. I'm joking.
Yeah.
I've had a 16-year-old daughter.
Like I said, get a plan in place, and
Yes.
then we'll go from there.
Okay, Charles?
all right,
Thank you. All right. Next property. 1117 Milcon Street.
And this is one, Trent, you sent that a permit has been pulled?
Yeah.
Yes, that's
They've
right.
done a lot of work on this
Lot of
already.
work, yeah.
Yeah, I looked at it the other day.
Preston Pelkey. Yeah, we purchased the property a year and a half ago, something like that, somewhere in that ballpark. We, I don't know, spent 90 days cleaning out. It was just horrid. There's no other word for it. All the windows are done, electrical's all done, doors are done, floors are done. They got painting still inside. You can see the siding. There was quite a bit of that siding that had some water rot originally. And so it was pulled and redone. All the insulation's inside done. There's going to be a little bit of sheetrock due to changes in city codes over the last couple of years with fire alarm, stuff like that. We had to cut some roof out, or some of the ceiling out to make some changes because of how the hardwired smoke alarms and stuff like that are now. So some of that had to be changed, but with electricians, of course, and all that and everything. I know it's probably 30 days or so, maybe 45 from being totally finished. Unfortunately, we do own some other properties here in Hutchinson, as well as some others in Reno County. We don't owe any taxes on them financially. We don't have any issue financially taking care of it. We do own a fairly good-sized trucking company. We haul grain. We're in harvest. Harvest has just been a nightmare this year. It's way too early and nobody's ready for it. So we had to push back a little bit of time frames. And then, of course, like with getting central heat and air done, it's hot. They've had nightmares. We don't have anybody living there, so we get pushed back because obviously they need to deal with people that's in homes that have issues first. So. So, and we understand that. So getting us pushed back is not a big deal. It's not like it's occupied. So it's not, a dire need versus somebody that's in a home that loses their AC. So otherwise, I would think before you guys meet again, it's going to be entirely done. But I'd hate to stand here and say it absolutely will be, and, they get all but done.
Yeah. I think it's clear that you're well on your way, and I think it's a matter of just simply working with Trent to get things finalized, and I see no point in worrying that you're going to get torn down. I think you're fine.
Okay.
You're thinking 60 days would more than take care of you?
Oh, yeah. We, like I said, and I came in, we got the letter. We didn't know anything about this whole process. I've never seen anything like that. We got a letter, and of course, I wasn't a happy camper when I first came in to see Trent. And then after he explained the process, explained everything, the house actually had been boarded up for 5 years, something like that, 4 or 5 years. And they had some issues back then. Of course, we buy the property. It's not like, anybody's nice enough to tell you the truth about it, so.
Yeah.
And this is going to be your residence, a rental?
No,
Rental or sale.
we're
Or
actually,
sale.
we're either gonna sell it, my son's moving back to Hutch. We do own some properties on the same street, my in-laws live up there. And then it's gonna come down whether our son wants to live in that particular area or not.
Okay.
If he chooses to, he'll own the house, we'll deed it over to him. If not, we'll sell it, is what we'll do, so.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
You're fine.
Thank you.
You're fine.
Thank you. Next property. 218 South Reformatory Street. Okay, next. 724 West Sherman. 510 North Walnut Street. Morning, folks.
Morning.
Yeah, give us your name if you would.
My name is Greg Bell. I'm an attorney here in town, and with me is one of the owners of the home, Penny Barker. Her husband, Terry, could not be here this morning.
Okay.
Terry and Penny bought this property in 2014, late 2014. They have traditional financing on the home. They have the financial ability to make the repairs on the home. It is their intent to live in the home as a primary residence. When they bought the home in 2014, they immediately started cleaning up the property, of course. They accomplished that into the spring of 2015. In the spring and summer of 2015, they removed 2 chimneys, they removed a structure over the porch, and they gutted the inside of the house. Into the spring of 2016, they secured a building permit. They replaced the sill plate around the entire house. They removed the front and back porch. They removed the old windows. They have now removed all of the siding. They have made arrangements. In fact, this week they're going to wrap the house, and it is going to be sided on beginning on July 11th. They have replaced all of the windows except one, and that one is in. I mean, they have it, they just don't have it in yet. That's supposed to be done before the siding can be done. They've repaired the roof. There is one spot on the roof that still has a leak, and that's supposed to be repaired
This weekend.
supposed to be repaired this weekend. They're going to re-roof, but the roofing isn't going to happen until perhaps into the fall. Summer and fall, the plan is to build new front and back porches, and of course start on the roof replacement. They have ongoing, of course, they gutted the entire inside of the house, and so they have to work on the electrical and the plumbing. It is a work in progress. As I understand in talking to Penny, really what they're acting as is their own general contractor. And they have made arrangements with different, for example, the plumber and the electrician and the guy doing the siding. Some of the work they're doing themselves, the removal type stuff on the porches, and of course some of the inside work. In addition to the structure, the Barkers have purchased a lot of items for the inside of the house: cabinets, sinks, all of those kinds of things. Penny told me sitting there this morning that this spring, since the permit was pulled, they've spent about $17,000. That includes the $7,000 down payment for the siding. But they've expended about $17,000 just this spring, and all but $3,000 have been out-of-pocket expenses. These folks have the financial ability to do this project, and they are committed to doing this project. And so I understand, as I sit here today, I've never been through one of these processes, but I understand the need to hold people's feet to the fire. I understand the financial part of it, where you have the desire to complete the project. You just don't have the time or the finances to do it. The Barkers have all of those things, and we're asking that it be removed from the list. And if not removed from the list, we're asking for an extension. When I was sitting here talking to Penny this morning, she said it's going to take some time. When you what their desire is by the end of the summer, the outside of the house is structurally sound, it's safe, it's secure, it's not a blight in the neighborhood, as what was put in the letter. And then they're going to begin the inside. And the inside, they're going to do more of those things themselves, and it's going to be time consuming. And they're thinking maybe to be completely done is a 12 to 18 month project, but certainly once the siding gets on and with the new windows put in, this house is going to look 100 times better than it did when they purchased the property. They purchased it for the princely sum of $4,000. They paid $4,000 for this. And so they've taken it clear down to the bones and started from scratch, but they're making great progress, and we're asking for it to be removed from the list so that they can complete that project.
Well, first of all, I want to compliment you for the
endeavor.
foresight to be able to see something in this house and taking that on. That obviously was a grand house at one point in time, and hopefully you can bring it back again to being grand, and I compliment you for that. So, thank you.
Trent, is this a reasonable request in your opinion? Is extension They're asking, I'm not sure what your time frame is, whether it be 3 months or
I
for
think
completion of
6.
12 to 18 months. I understand that.
Can I ask a question? I guess I don't know what, if you're asking if we can have the project completely done and be living in it in 3 months, absolutely.
Understood.
No,
Right.
If you're
I understand
asking,
that.
have their efforts remedied the things, the items that were identified in the letter to the Barkers of the things that needed to be done for this property, that caused the property to be on the list to begin with? Those things are already done. And that is, the property is secured, the windows have been replaced, the roof has been fixed, and so it's a construction zone. And then when you drive by it, it looks like a construction zone, but it's not habitable. It's not going to be habitable for some time, but it is sound and it is secure.
Well, and I could understand your hesitation in further investment if it was still on the list.
Yeah, that was one of the things that we talked about. Do I spend the money, or do I just sit on it because I don't want to spend $17,000 and have the council demo it? And I took the liberty after talking to Mr. Deerdoff and talking to some other folks. Hey, if you're making a good faith effort, and if you've invested time and money in this project, that the council is going to be willing to work with you. I guess it's just a matter of what that resolution is. We believe that the investment in time and effort shows the good faith and shows a willingness to complete the project. And just as the gentleman was up here earlier, we don't want to be under this constant cloud of time pressure and maybe getting the house demoed after the investment has been made.
These are not the most recent also. All those windows are in the bay window. They were special ordered. The oval window was in. All the siding's been removed, so it's ready to be sided starting next week. There will be some very ornate scallop siding going on the bay and porch. This house is definitely going to stand out. It's being done well.
Good.
We're not putting paint on a pig, we're doing it right, so.
If I understand, you'll, say in 90 days, you'll have it sided, it'll have a pleasant appearance on the exterior within
Yes.
that time frame.
Trent, in your judgment, based on what we've heard this morning, should this be removed from the list?
It's a tough one. I would personally, in all fairness, I'd probably like to see a time extension given, whether it's 6 months, whatever the need for the outside to be finished, just to keep some kind of a comparison with what the other property owners have been asking. Now, the amount that they're investing into it and the outside when it's done, at that point, could we remove it? Probably so. At that point, there's some value in the property. It could be considered an asset. They could probably sell it if they wanted, and the inside's going to get done. As they've described, I don't think even with the outside complete, we would look at demolition on it because of the investment that was put into it. Now, you take it, the appraised value, if it's $2,000 or $4,000 and nothing is ever done, then there's still no investment, there's still no asset there. We still look at feasibility. So I think they've shown they're willing to invest, but just to keep it fair, because all these people are good people, but we still need to have an object and a goal in mind, and blight is still one of them, even though it's structurally sound now. If the sided windows, everything's in, then I think we can look and feel comfortable that we've taken it off the list because the outside has no more issues.
Yeah.
Okay.
Again, 90 days sufficient as far as you're concerned to bring it to that point?
I think it'll be done before then, absolutely, 90 days will be
The
fine.
siding will be, like I said, started this next week, and July 11th is when the actual siding starts going on. The preparation will be starting. The roof, what area we've got to repair, will be done this weekend. So.
I think the 90 days is certainly viable, and I think once you get it wrapped up and the siding on it so it is not visibly an eyesore, I think you're good to go. So, I don't intend to take a wrecking ball to it once that point.
Yeah, you've illustrated progress just in a week's time over the pictures that we were there. A few more days, and we'd have another look entirely based on the siding that you described. Will be going up as well. Let this also kind of be a lesson too, and I know time, we've discussed time and money are two commodities obviously none of us have enough of, but I haven't heard anybody make mention of theft and things like that on a rapidly improving project, one that's being done in a timely fashion. Not to say that it can't happen, all it takes is one overnight or whatever, but with people constantly on site, working, doing things, using yourself as a general and having subs that probably remove their tools and equipment, but also just having bodies in there on a regular basis probably would help alleviate some of that theft and other issues as well.
Thank you, folks. Appreciate you being here.
All right, so you
Continue
need to hear
commitment.
from us again in the 90 days, or we contact
Talk to
Trent when it's
Trent,
done?
yeah.
We'll have some
Trent will
formal
take care
recommendations
of
here
it.
and then visit with Trent. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you both.
Investment.
Next property. 909 East First, 1026 East Second. 1026 East Second.
Yeah.
Hi, my name is Craig Hogan, and I actually sold Jose the house last week. And we, in the process in the last week, have made significant plans to improve the house. We have a plan set forth, and Trent has a copy of that. And starting this next week, this weekend, we'll have the electrical back into place. Then next week is we're pulling the permits for the roof. And we'll go from there on, and we have a definite plan as to how we'd like to get this done. We're asking for 3 to 6 months to have this finished, and my client has done this. I've worked with him for now almost 10 years, and this is about the 10th house he's done too. And they all have been, he's an investor. He lives in Las Vegas. He is also a real estate agent as well as I am. But he has a significant amount of rentals. He grew up here in Hutch. He has significant ties to the city, and he wants to help build back some of the infrastructure, some of the things that could be done. So
Here again, work with Trent and get your plan.
Sounds like he has the
in place.
expertise and the wherewithal to do
Oh, yeah,
it.
he
So.
definitely has got the expertise. He's done this. I've seen several that he's done. And they will all be very nice when he's done.
Okey-dokey.
So you're the owner, or he's the owner, sir, or you were?
He's the owner.
He's the owner.
Actually, he is the owner. I'm just speaking for him today.
Okay.
He has folks and he has crews that comes in and will actually do the work.
Sure.
Okay.
So, thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you.
Thank you.
And Trent, remind me of your comments on this one again.
Just what he's said. This is the one that was signed by the owner.
To
the release
demolish.
To demolish. And somehow, found this gentleman to purchase.
To
the
purchase
property.
it.
Then I went by there on last Thursday, and nothing structurally or anything like that has changed, but he did have his father over there, I believe it was his father, Jose's father, already removing some of the items to get prepared for. They didn't want to invest any money until they had the council's decision, but they were prepping for their remodel.
What are your thoughts, Trent?
I would probably go again 3 months. I don't doubt that Jose could get it done in 3 months. 6 months again for something. This is a very small home. If he's got the financial resources, which I believe he does, I think 3 months is more than reasonable to allow him to get this. The house is probably 800 square feet at the very most.
It's small.
So to clarify, are we really looking at giving 3-month extensions or keeping everybody on the list for 30 days and making that determination in 30 days?
It's kind of, I was sitting there thinking, our very first notice that we send out talks about a timeline, and we actually give them a deadline to give us that timeline, and today has shown the opposite, still coming back in 30 days with a timeline. So it's challenging to get everyone on the same page and understand what our objective is, because if they would have shown up with a timeline today, then you could have made the motion for whoever 30 days, 3 months, 6 months, whatever it is, and made that decision. The 30 days that is automatic is whether or not they're going to rectify the problem or demolish the problem or the house or structure to just eliminate it all completely. And Usually, the only thing that ever happens within that 30 days is if they decide to demolish it themselves. So usually after 30 days, we come back again and we go out for bid on it. So it's unique that we're going to come back in 30 days, and some of these, unless you got a motion today and they just work with me on time frame, then that'd probably be the most, I don't even know if that would be the most appropriate.
If you leave them all on the list, we come back in 30 days and say, these number need to be on the demo list, these do not.
Right.
And
For extension purposes
For an
or
extension,
whatever.
based on what
Right.
you've, with that,
In 30
Yeah,
days, is that
to-
the cleanest way to do this?
You would probably want to, on the ones that have not requested any extension at all, probably, and Paul might correct me if I'm wrong, go ahead and decide on demolition on those. And that starts the 30 days, because I think part of the 30 days is for the appeal, if they wish to.
talking about from today.
Basically, the 30 days is they're either going to fix it up, knock it down themselves, or post a bond so that the city doesn't knock it down.
Yes. And so the ones that aren't here contesting or wanting anything changed, we probably want to start that process. And the handful that do want an extension given, that might be the ones we revisit in 30 days. The ones that you're comfortable with, I would probably even make that motion today on
Yeah,
what those
I was
are.
thinking, I think there's some that I'd be real comfortable.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Basically committing to no plan to demolish, but give them
Right.
whatever period of time and eliminate them from consideration.
And that doesn't mess you up chopping up the list, since we're going to be back here 30 days anyways?
Well, we still wouldn't go out to bid until after the appeal process anyway, right?
Correct. After the 30 days is when we would start the bid. So the ones that are getting extensions, we would not even,
You'd remove them from that
from the
list.
bidding portion,
Yeah,
yes.
bidding
And
portion.
we'd
Remove
start-
them from the bidding portion.
Yes, because we'd still want to get on with the demolition.
Right.
And the others
Right.
would be a case-by-case basis if they fail to comply.
Okay.
Okay, problem's gonna be figuring out which ones we're gonna keep.
Is that consistent with the way we've handled it previously?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yes, pretty much, okay. All right, next property?
1501 East Fourth?
1501 East 4th Avenue.
Yes, well, I'm not,
Your name, please, sir?
Van Gates.
Van Gates, all right, Van.
Well, I guess I'm in a situation, my wife had a stroke, and I don't really have, I need to spend about all my time with her. That's one reason why it's kind of went downhill so much. So I don't know, I guess really have the time or the money, so just whatever needs to be done, I guess that's what we'll have to do. I had the idea of coming in, fixing it up and doing some things, or maybe moving. I live in Wichita now, and it's hard for me to get away to do anything, so I could, I don't know whether, it sounds like it's, more work. The front, I guess actually the work I have done to it, most of it was on the inside. I did remodel the bathroom, and everything worked. Electrical, I put a new electrical box and things in it. I never have done much on the outside, of which it shows. But I could, like the carport, take it off, that old building in the back, take that out and clean up and, fix it up. I don't, maybe, but it sounds like all of these things need to be done and I just don't have a lot of money to do a lot of things, so I don't know. If you think you need to get it demolished, I guess that would be okay too. I can't be away from my wife because she needs, I have a little more time now. I'm not taking, I'm moved in with family and my father-in-law, but we've kind of changed. I don't take care of my father-in-law now. So I have a little bit more time, but I can't be gone for just a short day. Just coming over here, it's just, I can't be gone over 2 or 3 hours at a time. So it's going to be hard for me to get too much done. So I'm not gonna, whatever you think you need to do, or if you wanna go ahead with the demolition, I guess that would be fine too. There's not just too many things I can do, and so I'll just kinda leave it at that. So whatever you want me to do, that would be fine.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Gates.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Next property, 723 East 7th Avenue. 300 West 9th Avenue.
I should come by yesterday and take a picture.
See?
Your name, sir?
Sean Harper, 301 West 9th. Obviously, I live right across the street. My first request would be to be completely removed from the list. Still not having a problem working with Trent in that regard. I'm living right across the street. I keep an eye on it every day. We're on site almost every day, obviously. Aside from that, if that's not something that you would want to consider, then the next thing would be to give an extension. I'd prefer 12 months, so we don't have to come back 80 times on the issue or whatever. That would be preferable. We've spent tens of thousands and a couple of thousand man hours on the house we live in, which is over 100 years old as well. Obviously, we choose to live in this neighborhood. This is our second 100-year-old home that we're continuing to renovate. And time is a highly prized commodity. So that's the thing right now. The improvements we've made so far have obviously done quite a bit. That whole side is painted now, by the way. The decking is done on the front. The felt, I've got about maybe half shingled on the front porch. Those are the things we're doing immediately. A lot of the siding issues to this point are pretty extensive as far as just replacing it. It just takes time.
And what's your intentions for the property?
Well, I don't know. There might have been a little bit of miscommunication. I think we're going to keep it as a rental.
I see.
Hopefully, my goal is to maybe be able to offer that to a specific group of at-risk population here in town. So with my background and my company and everything like that, I think it would be a good option for that. So, there's 3 units in it, and it's just a matter of taking the time to do that. I'm doing all the work myself, a little bit of work or a little bit of help from my wife, but most of it, siding, nailing, carpentry, all that stuff is all done by me. So it takes time to do that, obviously, in conjunction with the other interests I have. So I'm just asking for the extension. If you have any other questions besides those.
You'd mentioned 3 units. Would you put it back into multifamily or single family?
I think we're going to keep it multifamily.
Okay.
Yeah, the 3 units. Yeah.
Okay, so
We've
you're
added
gonna have to build
go
some
ahead.
you're gonna have to build some sort of exits, aren't you?
For
The second story?
just to the right of the white door there, which is brand new. There's it's a staircase.
Okay.
There's a door and a staircase that goes
Okay.
up there.
Okay.
Yeah. So we removed that whole the porch roof there, the porch bottom. We've closed off the door, which you can kind of see the siding there. So because it was unsafe, but it's completely gone now. So.
Okay.
When was that structure last inhabited?
Yeah, it was on several land contracts with the owner before, and I believe it was maybe 5 years ago was the last time.
Quite some
somebody was-
time.
Yeah, last time somebody was in it.
Trent, how long have you been dealing with this particular property?
Probably 2 to 3 years. It's been on our list, but we haven't really addressed it. Again, focusing on other ones by complaints, structural damage, and so forth. This had, and I believe this had the staircase coming down it, and we sent a notice out. I think the staircase got removed right away. And so, just by prioritizing, it's been a few years. And then, through this process, I've met him and visited with him as far as being the new owners of it and discussing their plans going forward with it, so.
Sean, when did you buy this?
Probably 6 or 7 years.
Oh, you've had
6
it that
years.
long?
Yeah, probably.
So you've had it quite some
Yeah,
time,
I
5 or
see
6
what you're
years?
Yeah, a little bit
Okay.
of time. I'm just not exact sure, 5 or 6 years.
Okay.
Around there.
And this is one of the permitted, permit was issued, excuse me, so.
Okay, any other questions of Sean? Thank you, Sean.
Okay.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Next property? 1001 West 13th Avenue.
Good morning. My name is Clinton Bailey, and I just purchased this property on 6/8/16 from a gentleman by the name of Richard Gertzen. And I want to ask it to be removed from the list today, and I'll give you some reasons why. Mr. Gertzen picked his mail up there every day. He lived with his daughter at 14th and Orchards, an elderly gentleman, but he owned this property. He's in his 70s or his 80s. I work with his son at work, and his son said, hey, we got a letter, we're going to tear this down. And I buy different properties in the city and live out in the country. And so I went by and looked at it, and the electric's on and the gas was onto it. But the water was not on because they had it drained out over the winter because they want it winterized. Like I said, he lived with his daughter, but he picked his mail up down there. So I looked at the property, and that was when it had all the vines and stuff on it. And before I did anything, I called Trent and went and talked to him. I said, I need to know what I need to do on this to get it off the demo list. I said, it's very livable. It's livable now. It's livable right now. And so he said, well, he hadn't seen inside it yet. And I said, well, as soon as I get a key, as soon as I have access to it, I will get you inside it. Well, of course, when I'm closing on it, trying to do all that, I don't want to put any money into it because I don't know that the title insurance and all that's going to come back okay. So we just cleaned the outside of the structure, stuff that I could do without costing me any money. And as soon as I got the key to it, well, another thing that I do before that, I contact my insurance guy, which is Martin McCribb and Salt City Insurance, and I say, is this house insurable? That's what I want to look at. Because if he tells me it's not insurable right now, I'm not going to buy it. And he said, yeah, so I've required insurance on it, so it is insured. So we closed on it 6/8/16, and we went over and started doing the work on it. To Trent's disadvantage, he was on vacation on the 10th because he hadn't been inside it yet. So Steve McNaughton came over and looked. Did you not know that? Okay, Steve McNaughton he came over and looked at it because Trent was gone. And he said, well, let Steve know that, the circumstances of it. I purchased a building permit on that day that I came in. I didn't know if you knew that or not. Okay. On the 10th of June, I purchased a building permit to make the repairs on the outside. The roof doesn't leak anywhere inside it. It's the water's onto it now. It's a livable structure. It just needs some attention is what we're going to give it. But like I said, it's livable now. I'd like to see it removed from the list. And the assessed value, I don't know for sure what that is. I didn't look at it. The banker said, don't worry about it. You're good to go on it. That's what he told me. Now, my intention is to not have any complaints on it from the neighbors or anybody else. To me, when we first looked at it, yeah, I could see it needed some attention outside. That's why we went over and cleaned it up. Start working on it right away. When this council meeting's over today, I'll be over there working on it. So we've required the paint to do it. It's not required to have a roof on it. I think it was because of blight in the neighborhood was out. I'm not really for sure all the reasons why it was on the demo list. Blight to the neighborhood, the vines growing up, which was what he told me, so we got rid of all the vines around it and cleaned it up. I think he said it's, the top needed to be painted, but the stucco didn't need to be painted, but we're gonna paint the whole thing. It's gonna be repainted, it's gonna have a new roof on it. But the inside of it structurally, I mean, we really don't have to do very much the inside of it. It's livable right now. I should have, if I would have known you needed to look at it, rather than Steve, I would have let you come and look at it last week, because I have the key. So that's how the issue is, so.
That's okay. We learn things new every day. No, on this, there's a little bit of roof decking damage around the dormer on the
Right
second
up there.
floor.
I don't know if you got the picture in the front of it. You can't really see it because these trees are not out here now, but there's a little bit just right there in the front, which is a matter of what we're gonna do here is some of this wood under here is not treated wood, so we're gonna jack that back up, and then that will level that piece back out in the front.
Clint, you had said you've done other rehabs on other properties around Hutchinson. Yeah. Have you guys had the opportunity to work?
I've worked with Trent and Steve and all the building permission, here in town.
And the other properties, A-OK, and yeah. Okay.
And I understand, you guys got to go on protocol, and if you can't remove it from the list, I would like to at least have an extension to get the work done, and you can reevaluate it later out of respect for you.
Yeah, no, I think you're on the right track. Get a plan in place with Trent. I'm not in favor of actually removing just yet, but I think you're going to be good to go. Get an extension, just get something in place with him. And then we're good to go.
What sort of an extension would you be looking at, Clint?
Yeah, extension would be fine.
How much
I would
time?
like to see it removed because it is a livable structure, but whatever your perimeter are, you
But
guys.
6 months, 6 months you'll be good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next property, 1413 East 35th Avenue.
Last but not least.
I'm Alan Plumley. I'm actually the owner's son on this property. We actually came in yesterday, spoke with Trent. My mom's been in contact with Trent a few times. Our only issue is we don't have a problem with it being demolished, but there is personal property that needs to be taken out of both the garage and the house that my mother's been working on. And it's just kind of a time-consuming thing. Just with the heat, she's not able to actually go in there and work on it too much. So I'm sure we talked with him in the process yesterday. 30 days is probably enough for us to get that done. So.
Okay.
So you would, or she would be willing to sign the, whatever it was,
Consent to demolish.
release. Thank you. Okay.
So the 30 days, you feel would be sufficient to remove the personal property that's stored
She
there?
says it would be. I'd feel more comfortable with a little bit longer, but I know that Trent said 30 days would be the process of actually going out and getting bids. I don't know if that means there might be actually a little bit longer. So, I mean...
Don't want to push it, but you got a little bit. Yeah.
Right. She has her whole house her whole life is in there, so it's a lot of more the sentimental stuff that she wants to get out, and she's, I hate to say it, she liked to collect a lot of stuff, so.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, Alan. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Does that conclude the properties?
Yes. That is it.
All right. I guess procedurally, the next order would be to close the public hearing and then to begin to deal with the motion before us.
I move to close the public hearing.
Second.
All right. Please call roll.
Yes.
Soldner?
Yes.
Inskeep?
Yes.
Deckent?
Yes.
Dave White?
Yes. Next item, please.
I need a motion on what's going to happen with the properties.
Yes.
Yes. All right. Okay, we've heard from 12 property owners this morning. We certainly had varied thoughts and requests, asking for extensions, needing a plan, removal from the demo list. And we have before us, and we've heard from Trent, our building official, and you see the motion before you as to what your intentions, council, would be in terms of these properties, or do you want to carve out any of the properties for extensions and or removals?
What I'd like to do is go back through them one by one and decide on each one of them, and,
Okay.
and I hope we could then wrap that into a motion. Oh,
Okay, the first property was seven
If
twenty-two
the rest-
West Avenue A.
Well, I've been sitting here making a list of the ones that we have more or less indicated that we are willing to give people a 3 to 6 month extension to work with Trent. And, would it be easier if we just I don't know.
It might be easier to keep them all on the list and do extensions next month contingent upon written plan.
That
Trent,
could
what
be.
would you be most comfortable with?
He wants us to get some of them on the demolish
On
list
the
so he
demo
can
list
get bids
for
out.
bidding purposes, yes.
Yeah.
We can't do a bid until after the 30 days
After the 30
anyway.
days.
We can't, right?
Correct. It starts the process, though. It starts that 30-day wait. It's either way, it is fine. However you
Okay.
guys want to do it, we can work with it.
Well, I'd be comfortable giving some of them extensions who've
Mhm.
already put investment in.
Oh, yeah.
Certainly the ones that have permits,
Mhm.
we saw that.
So the ones I've got for requests for extensions is 722 West Avenue A.
Mm-hmm.
Correct me as we go through here. 1015 East Avenue C.
Correct.
5 and 6, or 628 East Avenue S, they need a plan. 1117 Milcon Street, 60-day extension.
Mm-hmm.
510 North Walnut Street, 3-month extension.
I had 300 West 9th.
Yes,
I have 300 West
300
9th.
West 9th, yes.
And 628 East Avenue F.
Hang on, I gotta
Three-
catch
wait,
up here,
wait.
guys.
I'll still go back and say I'd like to go through them from the beginning to the end. Is that what you're doing there?
I was just trying to identify those that are asking for an extension. To do-
West 13 was asking for an extension.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I got
1001
you.
West
I've got
13
you on
West.
my list. Okay, this was an extension request.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
can we
Oh, we're
read
back
that
there. I'm
list
sorry.
back?
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Of,
Okay.
of requests for extensions.
Okay.
Linda, do you have all those, or
I have them as well.
Trent, all right? You want to read those then to
Yeah.
us?
722 West Avenue A, asked for an extension.
And should we just pause and say we're agreeable to that extension? Is
And
that-
then what that
How we do that?
extension.
We do it however we want.
I guess we make it up as we go.
We're making it up as we go, yeah.
Well, I will voice that I was.
And how long do we go on an extension?
Let's not worry about how long the extensions are right now.
I mean, all of these are gonna come back in
In
30
30
days.
days, 30
days.
Is there any one
All right.
that's not gonna be, that's gonna be removed from the demo list?
Removed?
Right.
No.
Not
Not
totally.
from what I heard. No.
So
Not totally.
we move forward, I mean, with that, and then
Keep
in
the list
30 days, when we
intact.
come back,
Keep the
we
list
deal with
intact.
extensions and all that stuff.
I see.
I mean,
That's what I had
that seems like the simplest
thought I
way
asked,
to.
and everybody
Shuffle the list
wasn't amenable to that, so.
Yeah.
If that's clear.
Well, I heard
mean,
Trent indicated an interest in identifying demolitions, and there's at least 3 or 4.
I mean, it just changes a month of a handful. It's fine, though. If we want to address all these in 30 days, and then the question is any of the ones that are going to be demolished, do we want to have them vote on that today, or
Well,
just do all that 30
but
days?
we're gonna put those out to bid, right?
After 30 days.
Yeah, so we won't be doing that for another 30 days, right?
The ones that, no contest, that still has to wait the 30 days.
Right.
Yes.
Regardless of what, okay.
So we do them all together is my thought, but
Are we good with that, Paul?
I've always been good with doing them all together, because when Trent comes and tells you everything that's been done, they've worked with all these property owners for quite some time, and the process is, he asks for demolition. They have 30 days to either fix it, or post a bond, or knock it down themselves. Then it can go to bid. If there's to be an extension, you can do that in 30 days. And say,
30
well, it's
days.
not going to bid, we're going to remove them from bid, and we're going to give them that extension of 3 months. If you go ahead and pass the motion now and start that process, then you take care of all the properties.
Okay, so I think what I'm hearing you say
All right.
is go ahead and move to approve the demolition of all of them that are listed, the condemnation, not the demolition.
Right.
And allow the property owners 30 days to repair or remove and authorize you to sign. And I'm not going to read the whole list.
And I'd rather not do that to some of these property owners. I'd prefer to give or at least somehow give an indication that we've got some properties that we fully intend,
I think we
unless they
already
do.
have.
Okay, well, if you
I
think
mean,
we have.
I mean, I feel comfortable that we've given these people
Well,
pretty much indication.
But the question today is, are any of those going to be taken off the list?
Off the demolition.
That-
The
that-
answer is no.
No.
I think there's some that we could, but I think as a matter of being fair and consistent, that they
Yeah, I
all
agree.
ought to stay on the list, even though they may be getting some extensions and
Yeah.
that kind of thing.
Yeah, they're,
So if that's,
they're,
I would say this, I would like, if there's anyone still present that isn't certain of where we tend to lean in terms of a willingness to give an extension, I'd like an opportunity for them to say, hey, I'm not clear on what you guys plan on doing. I just want to make sure that folks that have planned on doing work and are putting money into these properties feel for the next 30 days they can continue to put money into the properties.
Right.
And I don't want them leaving not wondering if we're going to either vote to condemn them next month in 30 days, or if we're leaning, given they continue to make progress for 30 days, giving them an extension, whether it's the length of time they want or not. That I do want to let them leave with. Well, I'd like to hear my fellow members if they're open to doing that. Or object to it, I guess. Yes, go ahead, Clint.
Well, you know, I'm a little unfamiliar with how this process works.
So am I.
And and on the demo, but I'd like to get mine off the demo list or to get an extension on it. I would not like to have it on the demo list still if I'm going to spend that money and time and effort and bought it and insure it and say, no, now it's still on the demolition list. I need to figure out how to get that off of the demolition list.
Did you purchase it when it was on the demolition list?
Yes, ma'am.
I see. Okay.
Did purchase on a demolition list.
Okay, so,
But I purchased after, but what I'm trying to figure out is, okay, how do I get it off? I'm still standing here today, and then you guys are still gonna tell me it's still on the demolition list. Is that correct?
It's
But
on the
I'm-
list.
But
it's
I
not-
need to make
it's-
sure that even though it's on the demolition list, I'm gonna get that extension, or other people here are
Right.
gonna put the time and effort and money into it. Okay.
I think those will
30
be
days
identified in
later,
30
if
days,
come
won't
back
they?
and say, is that
Yes.
when we're gonna take it off the demolition list in 30 days?
In 30 days.
In 30 days.
In
Is when
30
we're gonna
days.
take it off of the list?
Off the list.
I mean, the ones that are
or
compliant.
The ones that are-
The
The
extension.
ones that are, yeah.
Or the extension.
Okay.
I think
All
that's-
you gotta
that's
do
the
is get
intent.
something in place, in place with him. And
And
at
then
the end
we'll-
of that 30 days, you'll come off because you have everything
That's what
underway.
I'm just asking.
Yeah,
I'm
no,
like,
I
well, yeah,
understand,
I left
but-
the council meeting, it's still on the demolition list.
But yeah, I mean, technically, it's still gonna be there, okay? But
Thanks.
Sure progress.
All right, so that, I think, clarifies what our city attorney is recommending us to do, along with our building official, in terms of the official action today.
I think there was a motion from Nancy.
yes.
correct?
Is that a motion, Nancy?
Yes, that was a motion.
All right.
I'd be willing to
You want to repeat the
second
motion?
or-
I move to approve the resolution which condemns unsafe structures, and I'm not gonna read the list,
Okay.
and allows the property owners 30 days to repair or remove such structures. And in that 30-day time period, that's when they get their plan in place with Trent, and authorize you to sign.
Second.
All right.
and I might just say for those of you who are really uncomfortable with investing further, I think you'll find the council is very receptive to and sympathetic to people who want to put money into properties and make this community better. We're not going to lead you in the wrong direction and ask you to keep investing and then
Yank the
be
rug out.
bullies and
No.
Yeah.
demolish your property. So we're asking for just a little bit of faith that we follow the process as it was intended. So that's the
Okay,
comment I
no
have.
further discussion. Please call roll.
Pyros de Carvalho?
Yes.
Soldner?
Yes.
Inskeep?
Yes.
Deckent?
If I were a property owner, I'd feel uncomfortable with the condition, with where some of these property owners are being left. I vote no.
Dave Line?
Yes. 11 o'clock. I think we need to continue. I know it's been a long 2 hours, but we've got several people here that are waiting to speak on other agenda items. So next item, please.
Item 7A, consider ordinance amending the residential rental registration and inspection program.
Good morning, Mayor and City Council. Jana McCarron, Director of Planning and Development. And as you'll remember, on June 2nd, we came before you asking for your direction for amending the rental registration and inspection program. I do have a short PowerPoint to go through, but in the interest of keeping the meeting a little shorter, I'll just kind of pause if you have any questions. Just a brief background, you guys passed adopted the rental registration and inspection ordinance last April. It was amended twice since that time. In May of this year, the governor signed legislation requiring the legal occupant offer consent or give consent prior to doing an interior inspection. The Housing Commission, since that happened, the Housing Commission met to make recommendations for revising our program because we had a mandatory interior inspection program. They made recommendations to City Council, and as I mentioned on June 2nd, City Council gave us general direction on amending the regulations. So you have an amended ordinance in front of you. I'll just quickly go through the summary of the amendments. We did have to change some other sections besides just the interior inspections to make the whole thing make sense. So we added a definition for lawful occupant. We did reduce the unregistered unit monetary penalty just because our initial push we felt like was we've got most of the units registered and we thought that penalty was a little bit high on a go-forward basis. And also changed the penalty for failure to register to a misdemeanor because we can't necessarily get on the inside of these units. We felt like deeming a unit uninhabitable just by exterior inspection was probably an overreach. And this matches what other communities have done for penalties for failure to register. We reduced the registration fees based upon your direction at the last meeting. So it would be $20 for single family, $20 for duplex and triplex, $20 for other, which would be mostly mobile homes, and then $15 per unit for multifamily. As you'll remember, our current fee is $25 per unit. Also made exterior inspections mandatory, but interior inspections would be allowed only with the tenant's consent, and we do have a draft consent form we included in your packet. And then changed the language on what the landlord will receive as far as a certificate of rental compliance. It will say exterior, if that's all we've done, or if they've allowed both, it will say exterior and interior. Clarified that inspection results will be made available to the public. I think our former regulation said we'd post them on the website, but on advice of the city attorney, we've just put in accordance with the Open Records Act. And as per your request, put a termination for the program of December 31st, 2019, unless specifically authorized to move forward. And that's my short presentation. We do recommend approval of these amendments, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Did you mention the sunset?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah.
December 31st,
December
2019.
31st, 2019, yes, right.
Which is 3.5 years, but since they register for a full year, I didn't know if you guys wanted to make it, it just seems like that's 3.5 years from now.
I'm quite comfortable with that.
Me too.
I mean, it'll give us a full 3-year inspection cycle plus. We've been in flux and turmoil for the better part of, since we've been dealing with this for the last year plus. And I'd like to see 3 years of just doing it and having it and working it, and it'll give us the opportunity.
Do you have the inspection consent form correspondence there?
It's in, I don't have it.
You don't have it there, all right.
PowerPoint. But if there's something, this is a draft, so if there's something you'd like us to change.
Why don't you just summarize that, if you would, please, so we can get the spirit of exactly what the city would, how they would be communicating with the tenants?
Yeah. So I think what we would plan to do would be to notify the tenant and the landlord at the same time We're planning to do an exterior inspection of their property, and that an interior inspection would be allowed pursuant to the consent form. Consent form would probably only be sent to the tenants. Then also, per your direction, we would be doing some education of these tenants to let them know what their rights are, as well as the landlord. So we plan to put education as part of the ongoing program. If the tenant sends the inspection form back, or I'm not sure, we haven't really talked about exactly how we do this. I'm not sure if they're doing the exterior inspection, if they might knock on the door, or if the tenant's there and say, did you receive our consent form? Are you giving us permission or not? I think that would be real hit and miss to try and get people at home, but that could be a possibility. But if we didn't have the inspection consent form, we would not do an interior inspection.
So the inspector would probably, if that was an option, carry consent forms with him as he's doing the exterior
Yeah,
inspections.
but we would notify everyone via mail first.
Via mail first.
So, yeah, they would not be like, surprise, here
Right,
we are
yeah.
with our inspection form signed.
Sign here, yeah.
Because I think that's how other cities do it, and it seems like that's more fair, more straightforward.
Can part of the education be done with that mail out?
Sure.
Or is that part of the plan
Mhm,
in your thoughts?
yeah.
Good.
You know, I know this wasn't our original intent, but I think it is a good compromise. Something that some of the landlords brought up last time that I hadn't really thought about was that this could be construed as discriminatory toward those who don't own their property. And, you know, thinking back, I've been one of the biggest proponents of this, but thinking if I were a renter, yeah, maybe I wouldn't want somebody in my house. So not really in the way we intended this to move forward, but I think that this is a good compromise and definitely hits at new legislation. So I appreciate your work on this. I think it's very fair.
The effective date of this ordinance is when?
It'd be July, no, let's see.
I think it is July 1 because the state law
Yeah.
becomes
July
effective
1?
July 1, am I
It'd be
correct?
published June 24th.
June
and
24th?
July 1 would
That's
go
when
into
it'd be
effect.
effective.
Right.
It was published.
I'd also like to see in the mail out to the landlords that we ask or request their assistance or their support.
Sure. And I might mention, we are still getting landlords that are coming in, registering
Good.
units, buying new units. And for the most part, they've been very hospitable. So I think that, you know, as we have the program in place for a while, that some of the concerns on the landlord side will diminish.
Hope so.
This certificate of rental compliance, is that in the form of just a letter or a shield?
I've got one. It's a certificate.
Is it a certificate?
Yeah.
Is that what it is? Okay.
Now it's going to be modified to be either exterior or interior or both. No,
Right.
exterior or both, but it's a certificate.
Okay.
The,
Some people
unregistered-
frame them. I had a
Oh.
gentleman come in.
Yeah.
Here's my certificate. He had
Proud.
it framed.
All right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because he knew that he passed.
So there's
and-
some ownership there, huh? Yeah.
The unregistered unit penalty was reduced to $20. Is that still on a per month basis as it goes unregistered?
Yes, within that year, and I think I'd have to look at it, but I think they have, if they don't register by June, then we take further action.
I see. And is that where the misdemeanor piece comes into play?
Yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
And what is that punishable by? Additional fines above
I
the
see
$20?
misdemeanors up to 1 month in jail and a $500 fine.
In fact, I'll be darned. Okay.
Which council, by the way, we have a catch-all in our Hutchinson City Code anyway. Any forbidden act or unlawful act in the code, if there isn't a specific penalty, that catch-all applies, and it's Class C misdemeanor up to 1 month in
Is
jail
that
and a
is that
$500 fine.
the lowest
It is the lowest.
I've
level
heard
of
of people
violation?
being thrown in jail for a month in Newton for not recycling after 3 offenses. So that catch-all does catch some
It catches
folks.
some.
Yeah.
I'll be darned.
I did have a comment or a question about the inspection consent form. And Paul, maybe this is to you. Well, the wording specifically is about the rental registration inspection. Codified as amended at Chapter 21, Article 11 of the City Code, which I guess I'd like to make the thing as simple, and I just I read that and I saw some people's eyes glazing over and shaking their head. And at least in that specific instance, would suggest not even having that as codified and amended, et cetera, et cetera.
Well, I think you have to show them where it's at in our laws.
Do we? I mean, if we have to have it in there,
I mean, I think it makes.
I just see
I'm
some
not sure
folks
which
reading.
clause you're referring to.
The inspection
Where it
consent
says as
form.
codified. Yeah.
Oh, you're on the
And-
consent.
Yeah, the consent form, not the.
Explains what it is, it just references the code.
Well, I mean, I could send a letter out and say that this is the law. I would want to know where it's at in the law. So I
And
understand
because
where
it's
you're
available
doing
online, they can look it right up. And
You could
without
put-
the numbers, it can be a chore.
that. You could always put that as an asterisk at the bottom if you'd be
I
more
guess I'd
comfortable
prefer
with
that.
that.
I understand why it's there in terms of that. There's a lot of folks that will struggle with understanding what the heck that's even referring to, and figuring you're tossing some legalese at them to confuse or the more easy and straightforward we can make that and still cover whatever we have to cover, the better. And if we can do some asterisks or some references on the bottom for more information, see. That was the only thing that struck me in the consent form.
And we could definitely do that. This is just for a sample.
Okay.
It's not part of what we're
I will
asking
just
you
tell
to
you, I
do.
have a number of tenants who will struggle
Right.
with comfortably understanding this. And
I think some of that could be addressed in the accompanying letter as well, if that goes with it. This is the consent form, but I assume there's an accompanying letter to the education pieces.
I think we'll probably do like a brochure, little photos, kind of make it pretty easy to understand. This is our goal. Yeah, people don't really read a lot of letters, what we're finding.
Obviously, we just saw about a dozen.
Yeah. So that's
Okay,
all I
very
have.
good input. Any other thoughts from council? Any discussion? Any further discussion? If not, I entertain a motion.
I move,
Oh, go ahead.
David, go ahead.
I'll take that one, all right. I would move to approve an ordinance amending certain sections of Article 11, residential registration and inspections of Chapter 21 of the Code of the City of Hutchinson, Kansas, and authorize the mayor to sign.
Second.
All right, any further discussion? Please call roll.
Hyros de Carvalho,
Yes.
Soldner,
Yes.
Inskeep.
Yes.
Deckent.
Yes.
Dave Line.
Yes. I'm going to throw the council a curve, and if I get impeached, just tell me, but I'm going to ask that we move to the agenda of new business 8B, consider final plat for North Point. Mr. Strawn has been patient here this morning. And
Only if I get about 3 minutes.
All right, all right.
3 minutes,
Standing
3
up
minutes
will be
fair.
good.
We'll call for,
Oh, you guys, okay, everybody
Yeah.
needs it. Okay.
Stand up.
call for recess.
Jugs of water.
3 minutes.
He's recessing, he didn't know it.
A subdivision plat for your review and hopefully your approval. Basically what this subdivision includes is just a replat of 2 existing lots. So we have 2 existing lots in the Pine Hill subdivision. And the subdivision is located on Pine Hill Place. That's just north of 30th Avenue, about a block west of Inverness Drive. On the northeast side of the city. And this map just shows you the property we're talking about outlined in red. It is, like I said, currently platted as 2 lots. The southern lot has actually been split, and you see in the aerial photograph here, there are 2 single-family dwellings on that southernmost lot. And the owner of the property is interested in building 2 more homes there at the northern end of the property. The issue we had is the way it's currently platted, there isn't adequate street frontage to split that lot and build 2 more houses and meet our minimum lot width or frontage that you have along the street. That's the main reason for this subdivision. Here's just a photograph of the houses that are currently out there. And there's a hammerhead turnaround, and that presents a little bit of challenge to the development. It impacts the developable area of the lots, and it impacted the amount of frontage there was on the street. Basically, this is what is proposed. This is the final plat that was approved by the City Planning Commission on June 7th. And they recommended approving this by a unanimous vote, basically finding that it met all of the requirements of our subdivision regulations. And I think I have a blow-up, just a close-up image of the actual lots. There will be 4 lots, and as I mentioned, the southern 2 lots are already developed. The northern 2, as you can see, are a little bit wider than they had previously been, wide enough to put houses on. And a new easement has been dedicated there at the north and east side of that northernmost lot, lot number 4. That's about it. Pretty uncontroversial. We have received all of the revisions and documents that we had requested. Those have been submitted. I have a copy of the final plat Mylar for the mayor's signature, should you approve this today. Any questions of me? Raymond Breton is the surveyor representing the owner. He's here in the audience today as well.
Just curious, how was the lot frontage on the street issue resolved with the replat?
Well, with the replat, one of the lot lines was actually shifted southward slightly. And it was moved closer to the existing house that was already constructed. So one of the existing lots that had already been developed was actually narrowed in size, and that allowed more developable area to the north of it for those undeveloped lots. I might also add one thing I didn't mention. We asked the applicant to provide some revised covenants. There were some private restrictive covenants that had been filed on this subdivision already. One of the provisions in those covenants said that no lots in this subdivision shall be split. Well, actually, some of the lots had already been split in violation of those covenants. So we thought it would be in the best interest of future owners of this property to have those covenants amended. And so we have a copy of the amended covenants, and those will just need to be filed at the Register of Deeds along with the final plat.
The asphalt road leads to a gravel, it's described as driveway. Does that lead back to another property or residence? Or?
It sure does. I think you can see maybe here in this aerial map. There is another house, a single-family home, north of this subject property that's outlined in red there. So it's not
no
a
intention
part
of extending the road then or anything like that?
That's right, yeah.
Okay.
There's no intention of extending the road beyond where it's currently developed.
Okay.
It's a really odd little road. I mean, we walk around there sometimes. We don't live far from there, and it's like a half-developed area. It's just very odd.
It was an infill development.
All right, any further questions of Casey? If not, I would entertain a motion.
I'd move to accept the recommendation of the Planning Commission to approve the final plat for the Pine Hill Second Subdivision with the conditions as presented.
I'll second.
Please call roll.
Iris De Carvalho?
Yes.
Soldner?
Yes.
Inskeep?
Yes.
Deckent?
Yes.
Dave Line?
Yes. Next item, please.
Item 8B, consider final plat for North Point.
All right, this is another request to subdivide a property in the city limits of Hutchinson, and it's located at the southwest corner of 30th and Lorraine, near that intersection. The property we're talking about is owned by Jim Strawn, who's here with us today, and the surveyor that did the work is also Raymond Breton, who's in the audience with us today. You can see on the map that the property is zoned C4, that's a commercial district, and it is partially developed. It just has never been platted. It's not an actual subdivision. The land is just described as meets and bounds. They're tracts. And so in order to develop the remainder of the property there, the western portion of the property, the city actually requires it to be platted, because in order to develop it, utility easements have to be recorded, and there has to be adequate vehicular access provided. So those factors required it to be subdivided. Here's just an aerial photograph, and let me know if you want to go back to any of these photos as I discuss it a little bit more. What prompted the request for this subdivision is that Mr. Strawn is interested in putting in a self-storage facility on the west part of 2803 North Lorraine. So the big rectangular shaped lot you see in this picture, the western part of that is where this proposed mini storage or self-storage business would go. And I think we have a picture of the final plat here, a little bit zoomed in view. You can see that the proposed plat includes 3 lots. So you would end up having 3 lots. One would be where the Fast Lane Car Wash is currently located there against 30th Avenue. Lot number 2 would be the location of this proposed storage business. And then lot number 3 is where the existing North Point development is. There will be, well, I guess that's all I had on the subdivision PowerPoint. I do have some pictures of the property and the type of business that's proposed there. That will be coming up next on the agenda. It's the conditional use permit. So all we're talking about with this case is just the simple division of the land, the provision of utility easements, and so forth.
So you're going to cover screening between the neighbors and the storage and all of that in the next item?
That's correct.
Okay.
And you mentioned the utilities. There was something I read in there about above ground versus below. Is that now or next as well?
Well, that has already been taken care of.
Okay.
As you probably know, the subdivision ordinance that was adopted in October does require in all new subdivisions that any existing overhead utilities be removed and put underground when a property is subdivided. So in this case, there are some existing overhead electric lines along Lorraine Street, and there are also some that go across the property where the car wash is located. So the owner came forward, actually applied for a subdivision variance. That's something that's reviewed by the Planning Commission. Now that doesn't come before the City Council. And they reviewed it and they granted the subdivision variance. So that will not be a requirement for this particular subdivision.
Do you think it'll ever be a requirement? I mean, in honesty, should we just strike it from our subdivision regulations?
Well, that was one of the comments made by one of the Planning Commission members, that if the city isn't going to start requiring it.
Well, we typically require it for like out-of-town developers, but it seems like if anybody questions it, we just say, just kidding.
I think
Well,
they
the-
consider the cost of it. That was
cost.
one of the major concerns.
No, I work for a telecom, and so I'm very familiar that the cost is exponentially increased if you go underground. But when we go into a community and they have certain rules, we just don't say, well, we'd rather do it this way. So I was just curious. I mean, if it is that much more expensive and it's inhibiting development, and we're not going to follow it anyway, I mean, what are your thoughts?
It struck me, and I may be mistaken, it struck me that at least two sides of this property, maybe three or four, are surrounded by overhead utilities. And I don't think I was at this particular planning commission, maybe I was. But anyway, that's what struck me, is that everything surrounding is overhead. Why drop underground? I leave that to staff or somebody else to explain better if I'm wrong.
Just a couple of comments. Our regulations say if they're on public property, they don't have to be undergrounded.
Okay.
So, but if they're on private, they're supposed to be. There are existing ones that have been there for 30-plus years that, I think that's the reason why we have the allowance for the subdivision variance, because it just doesn't make sense. In an existing corridor where all along the corridor, they're all above ground.
Yeah.
But there could be cases where that's not the case. Maybe they're the only little segment that's not underground, and so that's why we kept it in our ordinance.
That makes sense. Thanks for
It's
explaining
not a
that.
perfect world, though. I agree.
Yeah.
Case by case often, yeah.
I was unclear, reading through the material, what's the access to this new platted parcel? I mean, are we driving through an existing parking lot of North Point, and that's the access? Does there not have to be a dedicated access to it?
There
What
is,
it?
as you can see here on lot number 1, which is the car wash
Okay.
property,
Is that-
coming
is that
from
your-
30th Avenue, there is on this plat right here,
Okay.
I believe it's a 30-foot wide access easement. And that
Okay.
will become the legal dedicated means of ingress and egress
Okay.
to lot number 2, which is where this proposed storage business would be. A portion of that easement is right here on lot number 3. So that will be the legal means of access. In all practicality, there still will be through access across the North Point development. So you could go over to Lorraine Street. But this is something staff requested, just to have at least one dedicated means of access in case ownership of these properties ever changes in the future, that the owner of Lot 2 will be granted or guaranteed to have a way
Access.
to get to the property. So
Okay.
I think
Thank you.
that's been taken care of. The fire chief did request a study or from an engineer about the capacity of the water, to fight a fire on Lot 2, what kind of infrastructure would be needed for that. And it turned out to be basically a 10-inch diameter water line would be needed to put in. And that is going to be put in across the north side of Lot 3 here. And as you can see, there's a utility easement that's being dedicated for that. I believe the applicant is proposing to put in gas lines also to the property, which would probably come along the south side of the North Point building. And then electric service is readily available there. So it does have adequate water and electricity.
Well, I think the recommendation of the Planning Commission speaks well of the approach that at least the Planning Commission likes to take in dealing with this one variance on the overhead power, of allowing that variance to allow this development to go forward. Because I suspect, had they not approved the variance, I wonder whether this project to the west of the North Point would have ever occurred because of the additional costs. So again, I think it's another demonstration of the city and the Planning Commission supporting this good pro-development. All right, any other questions? Casey?
No, I think staff has received all of the outstanding items that
All right.
were requested, and the Planning Commission did recommend approving the final plat.
If there are no further questions, I'd entertain a motion.
I will move to approve the recommendation of the Planning Commission to approve the final plat for the North Point subdivision with conditions as presented.
Second.
All right. Please call roll.
Tyros de Carvalho?
Yes.
Soldner?
Yes.
Inskeep?
Yes.
Deckent?
Yes.
Dave Line.
Yes. Next item, please.
Item 8C, consider request for conditional use permit for storage facility at 2803 North Lorraine.
All right, thank you. Again, we're talking about the same property, 2803 North Lorraine Street. Again, it's Zone C4, that's Special Commercial District. The owner's interested in building a self-storage, climate-controlled business there. That is considered a conditional use in the C4 zone. So in conjunction with the subdivision, the owner has submitted the application for the conditional use permit. And here is a picture of the site plan that's proposed. At this point, the initial plan is that there would be 3 self-storage buildings built. The first one being 100 by 200 feet in size, and then the other 2 would each be 40 by 200 in size. That plan could possibly change in the future. And when the Planning Commission reviewed this, the applicant made it clear that he might possibly want to just build 2 storage buildings instead of 3, or the sizes of those buildings could change up slightly. And the Planning Commission agreed that if that were to happen, if you were to approve this conditional use permit, that we wouldn't want him to come back through the conditional use permit process again, that those types of minor changes would be reviewed administratively. So you'll see that's one of the conditions noted in the staff report, one of the conditions of approval. Here, I've shown you on the photograph here, you can see where the ingress and egress to the property will come from. The dedicated access comes from 30th. There will also be the option and possibility of people using Lorraine Street to access. The area that's stippled around these buildings is going to be pavement, so concrete or asphalt. I know that concrete is what the applicant's proposing. The city standard is concrete or asphalt. So that standard has been met. Also, a drainage study will be required for this project. A drainage study would need to be reviewed and approved prior to the issuance of a building permit, but wouldn't necessarily hold up the conditional use permit. Provision of a drainage study, an approved drainage study, is one of the conditions of approval. Along the south property line, this is the landscaping plan. What you can see here, the applicant's proposing to plant a row of 18 junipers, 15 feet on center, and has included a 5-foot landscaping setback for that. When you look at that, in addition to the drainage easement, 35-foot wide drainage easement that's proposed, there'll be quite a big setback there from the nearest storage building to the nearest house. So, and I've got some pictures of that coming up. Here are some just proposed renderings, examples of similar types of businesses that provided by the applicant. Look at what the inside might look like and what the outside might look like. The applicant is proposing to put up a decorative steel fence, kind of like the one you see in the picture here on the right, that would be along the east side of the business. And then along the other 3 sides would be a proposed 6-foot chain link fence. Here are some renderings of the end walls, the exterior elevations, and sidewall elevations. And this is just a look at the floor plan for a typical storage building. A couple of photographs of what you see out there today. This is a view of the access drive from 30th, where it crosses over the car wash property back toward North Point. And then several pictures of the actual subject property here. So this is taken from standing on North Point's parking lot looking out toward the west. You can see the backs of some commercial buildings there on the right-hand side. Those are businesses on 30th. Just another view of the property looking kind of toward the west, southwest. You can see there are some single-family homes there off abutting the property on the south side of it. And just another close-up view of that south property line. The houses along that south property line do currently have a 6-foot privacy fence that are owned separately by each of those homeowners. So in addition to that, as I mentioned, the applicant will be putting in a row of evergreen junipers along that property line. And we did get a comment from, I think, one homeowner who lived adjacent and just expressed some concerns about wanting to know about what kind of screening might be put in, wanting to know if there would be any bright lights outside, concerned about security issues and that type of thing. So I think that the Planning Commission was able to speak to those and address those during their meeting. The Planning Commission recommended approving the request, and they listed 11 specific conditions, which are noted in your report. One of the conditions that at the end you'll see is that the self-storage facility shall not be subject to limitations on hours of operation. Staff had actually recommended putting in some kind of limitation on hours, just kind of protect the neighbors from having any activity going on at night. But that was stricken and reversed by the Planning Commission. So all of the other conditions listed are pretty much standard conditions of approval. Nothing much out of the ordinary. And that the site plan was approved, and if anything should change with that site plan in the future, that would be reviewed administratively.
I have one question of Jim. I know you have to do a drainage study yet on this. Is this going to help ameliorate the problem of the drainage in the existing North Point parking lot? Because that west side has a tendency to puddle water.
Yeah, Jim Strawn,
Yeah,
507 North
yeah.
Whiteside. We've had a lot of problems with some of the neighbors to the north. They have truck traffic that takes a back route through that land, and what happens is that they pull big trucks and trailers in there and things, and then they wind up pulling mud out and they make a mess of my parking lot. So what this will do, it will eliminate that mess.
Okay.
And if you look right here, this is part of the drainage plan right there.
Okay,
All that ties into that.
okay.
So we think that by doing that, it gets all that water into one area and it gets it out. Because it's been a culprit up there, and it
Oh,
holds
yeah.
water.
Yeah, it holds that, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm in that parking lot a lot, so, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We've had a lot of drainage problems up there. Any other questions maybe I
Jim,
can answer
one other
for you?
question. It talks about exterior lighting, and it said it's been met. Exterior lighting, if provided, will cast downward and will be shaded from adjacent residential properties. Is it in your intention to have exterior lighting?
We will have security lighting.
Security lighting.
But it's like small LED wall packs that go on there. They're really not very bright. It's not like we have a towering street light effect
Okay.
up there. Yeah.
Right, but security lighting.
Yeah, it's for security. And
Good.
and the other thing is, we're planting some trees, so hopefully they'll get tall enough that will buffer any of the lighting as well.
Yeah.
It mentions up there offices and self-storage. Is this going to be a manned location? Will there be somebody renting the units or officing there?
No.
No.
At this time, I'm going to say no.
Okay.
Eventually, there may be an office put in, but right now, we earlier designed it where we had offices that faced North Point and just took it out. We just didn't want to do that.
Okay.
Because it just took up a lot of parking and things. And so one thing that we know is parking's, pretty critical. And that's a big facility. And that's 25,000 square feet approximately is what North Point is right now. And in these buildings, the 100 by 200, they'll wind up being 20,000. So they're pretty substantial sized buildings. And we just don't want to take up any more of the parking lot up there than what we've already got.
Okay.
Okay.
Other questions of Jim?
Just,
This will be the first facility that's climate controlled in Hutchinson.
I was thinking that.
In terms of storage,
Yeah.
yeah. Stormwater runoff, what, and I don't know who would answer this, but how will this facility be impacted? I assume, is that going to be a catchment or a pond?
Yeah, we
do you know
actually
yet, or-
did drains. There's a ditch that comes right down, hope you can hear me, kind of loops around like this, and then comes along down here
Mhm.
on the south side of North Point. What we'll do, all that water will come in here to the detention pond, fill that up, and then we throttle it down with a smaller pipe, and it just kind of wicks out. And then it'll go down that ditch. And there's a drainage basin right here that it goes into. We pretty much got the drainage study pretty well put together on it, size of the pond.
So as far as stormwater runoff fees, there will or will not be a
Should take care
significant
of
impact?
Yeah, well, I mean, if
The
you're talking about a
storm- the
stormwater
stormwater
utility,
fees.
yeah,
Utility
there's still a
fees, yeah.
fee for that.
There'll be a
Right,
fee,
yeah.
but
But I mean, does he ameliorate a part of that with the detention
Yeah,
pond?
there's credits that he'll
Yeah,
receive
being
because of his
offsets.
detention. Yeah.
Because there's no matter of fact, the entire thing becomes a hard surface.
Oh, yeah.
But
With
no,
the
he'll-
roofs and
yeah.
the parking, it would be totally impervious,
Yeah.
but with the
He'll get some
drainage
credits
piece,
and-
Yeah.
that'd have to offset that.
Again, just a matter of curiosity. So how much, will the credits pretty much offset or?
Not
No,
entirely.
No.
I don't know the
There will-
percentage, but it won't
Okay.
offset at 100, no.
Yeah,
Sorry,
yeah,
Jim, sorry.
He'd like.
Jim, are you going to come back and talk to us about how much it's costing you for your stormwater utility fee?
No, it's just,
Cost.
What it costs.
What it costs, right?
Part of a business, huh?
he's figured it out.
All right.
Okay, thank
Are
you.
you ready for a motion, Mr.
Yes.
Mayor?
Entertain a motion?
I will move to approve the recommendation of the Planning Commission to approve the conditional use permit for a climate-controlled self-storage facility at 2803 North Lorraine pursuant to the factors and conditions as presented.
Your second? All right, motion is second. Please call roll.
Pyrus de Carvalho?
Yes.
Soldner?
Yes.
Inskeep?
Yes.
Deckent?
Yes.
Dayblind?
Yes. Next item on 7B.
Okay, let me,
Going
Yeah,
back?
Back up, back up.
Going back.
okay, item 7B, consider ordinance amending municipal court costs.
You're on, Paul.
Bruce, you're not up yet.
Uh-uh.
We're going backwards on the agenda now.
We're going backwards.
Yeah,
We had
did a
two
little
items.
flip-flop here, Bruce.
That fits me perfectly, actually.
Paul Brown, City Attorney. You have a proposed ordinance before you to amend municipal court costs. We amended those about 6 months ago to take care of an additional fee that the state has imposed. They imposed an additional fee for C-Post, which is the Commission on Police Officer Standards and Training, for $2.50. We've proposed raising municipal court costs $2 to take care of that. You may remember about 6 months ago, we raised it $1, even though the increase at the state level was only 50 cents. That was to round off the
Yeah.
court costs, so they were an even number. Since we've already rounded up once, we don't need to do that again for the other 50 cents that is forthcoming with this particular fee. So that's why you see an increase of $2 rather than $2.50. And we would ask the council to approve that.
Well, you answered my question, Paul.
Other questions of Paul? If not, I entertain a motion.
I would move to approve ordinance amending section 22-102 of the Code of the City of Hutchinson, Kansas relating to court costs and municipal court and authorize the mayor to sign.
Your second?
Second.
Please call roll.
Pyrus de Carvalho?
Yes.
Soldner?
Yes.
Inskeep?
Yes.
Deckent?
Yes.
Dayblind?
Yes. Next item, please.
Item 7C, consider ordinance regarding payment of insurance proceeds.
Another ordinance proposing to take care of some legislative changes this year. This particular statute is about holding a portion of the proceeds to take care of really dilapidated building that's been damaged by fire or explosion or otherwise. In the legislature this year, they took off those limitations in that particular statute regarding insurance. And these funds are held by the city until these matters are taken care of to make sure that we don't end up with the demo charges and have to assess it against the property. Basically, what they took out was the language that said arising out of any fire, explosion, or windstorm, and similar language to that, so that it has the effect of when the insurance policy pays, it doesn't matter the reason, there can be a portion withheld for the city to take care of the remainder of the structure. But keep in mind, it only applies when 75% or more of the structure has been destroyed. So it doesn't apply very often, and quite frankly, most times it's going to be because of fire, explosion, or windstorm when that occurs. It would be very rare circumstances when that would occur otherwise. This was a model ordinance proposed by the League of Kansas Municipalities, and we're just updating that. In fact, it was such a model ordinance the last time, they left the numbers in from the previous model ordinance that did not match our city code provisions. So I took that out as well. Beyond that change about fire, explosion, or windstorm, some of the time periods were changed from 20 days to 30 days and 30 days to 45 days, again, to match up with the changes that the Kansas legislature made this year. Other than that, in terms of its operation, it will not change. And this is actually one that impacts Trent more than anyone else, because he makes these determinations, and it does come in handy. Questions from the council?
You don't have to answer this, Paul, but are you saying that the Kansas legislature actually did a good deed for cities this year? Thank you.
You're right about me not answering that question.
But since it was proposed by the League of Municipalities, obviously it affected some municipalities somewhere,
Apparently,
albeit rare.
yeah.
But
Well, if you think about
it'd
the
be
earthquakes
nice.
south of here,
Yeah.
there could be earthquake damage to the extent that maybe a building was
Don't even number.
And then again, it would depend on the coverage that they have. I
Yeah.
tried to look at some of those
Well, that's true. They may
circumstances,
not have
and
the earthquake
and I
coverage.
thought a lot of those, there wouldn't be coverage anyway.
Well, but you know, like the building in Kingman, where the wall just simply fell down. You know, I mean, that would be applicable, I would think. Yeah.
I move we approve an ordinance concerning payment of insurance in reference to Article 12, Chapter 21, et cetera, as recommended by staff.
Second.
Please call roll.
Tyros de Carvalho?
Yes.
Soldner?
Yes.
Inskeep?
Yes.
Deckent?
Yes.
Dave Line?
Yes. Next item, please.
And back to item 8D, consider agreement with KDOT for Safe Routes to School project.
Now, Bruce.
How do we turn the,
There you go.
there we go.
It's a
I watch
test.
people sitting
Yeah.
over there and they're pushing things with their fingers, so I thought, okay, I can figure this out. To give you a little bit of background, this is a Clink project, which is
I
funded.
think we're on a different item, Bruce.
I think we're doing the safe routes to
Safe
school.
Safe
School
routes
project.
first.
8D.
Yeah, they're.
There.
There they go. They got it up there for you.
Allen School.
There we go.
Okay.
Okay, this is the safe routes to school. And to give you a bit of background, this was actually submitted to DOT for funding in 2012. We're finally going through the whole process here with DOT, and the purpose of the Safe Routes to School program was to encourage children to walk and bike to school, to encourage a healthy and active lifestyle from an early age, and facilitate planning and implementation of projects that will improve the safety and the flow of traffic in the vicinity of schools. And a few of the many outcomes of successful implementations of these Safe Routes to Schools projects have included increased bicycle, pedestrian, and health safety issues, more children walking and biking to school, and improved childhood health. So the city actually formed a working group, and I may be providing some genesis that you're aware of, and if so, I apologize. But the city formed a working group comprised of residents of the city, county health department, the police department, Chamber of Commerce, and the school district. And the formation of this group was to oversee the creation of the Safe Routes to School program. And hopefully I'll pronounce this right. Garber?
Graber.
Great.
Oh, Garber Surveying.
Oh, Garber
No,
Surveying.
No, Garber School?
Graber.
Graber, okay. Graber School, that looks phonetic to me, and so I appreciate that. Graber School's location was selected. And of course, it's near 3 main arterial streets, and well known in its proximity to facilities like, you can see on the exhibit, Hutchinson High School, the Hutchinson Community College, as well as the Cosmosphere. And Department of Transportation, the way this thing works is our funding is, which is included in your packet, is for the project construction, engineering, inspection, and the design plans. The Department of Transportation actually bids this project. It's a little bit different than what we've been accustomed to in the past. In speaking with KDOT, they anticipate a November bid letting on this project. They've selected their own consultant. As such, the November bid letting, just to give you an idea, since we're doing concrete work, this project will not really hit construction until the spring of 2017. The way that the grant funding was set up, which is part of the agreement that we're recommending your approval of, is the city is responsible for 20% of construction cost. The FDOT, or KDOT grant is responsible for 80% of the construction cost. And as well as we were responsible for the design, and the fiscal inclusion in your packet totals the $283,600. And you will see that $283,600, the $83,600 includes the design that we paid for, etc. There is an asterisk that I noted by the Hutchinson Community Foundation grant. You're going to look for an asterisk and you're not going to be able to find it. However, the city received, for clarification, the city received a $10,450 grant provided by the Hutchinson Community Foundation that was earmarked for the Safe Routes to School project. So when you see that asterisk, all I can do is verbally express. The project itself is between, and I'll start at the top, between North Plum Street and North Severance Street. The intersection of North Plum and East 17th Avenue, there is going to be ADA ramps as well as striping installed. Moving easterly on the East 17th Avenue and North Severance Street, the same configuration, new handicap ramps at all 4 corners of the intersection along with striping. There is going to be a sidewalk, and I'm going to bring you down from North Severance Street moving westward on East 17th Avenue just north of the Hutchinson High School. That is presently a, I believe, 4 or 5 foot sidewalk. That's going to be widened to an 8-foot sidewalk to increase and inhibit or actually allow for greater bicycle and pedestrian traffic. And that widening of that sidewalk stretch from North Severance goes all the way over to Graber School. The red line does appear that it stops a bit short, however, it does go all the way over to be able to tie into the school. Following down or continuing on a westbound direction on East 17th Avenue, sidewalks, new sidewalks along East 17th Avenue from North Cleveland over to Plum. And you're going to see the little red squares. Those are ADA ramps. Then dropping down to the south, we have new sidewalk planned for North 16th Terrace from Plum over to Cleveland. Then there's continuing on southward. We've got that little stretch from North Ford Street to along East 16th Avenue, again with handicap ramps. And then, of course, coming down East 15th Avenue, it jogs a tad from Plum Street, commencing and following in an easterly direction to be able to get the students to Graber Elementary. And that gives you an overview of the project, and unless there's any questions, I would recommend approval of this signature of this agreement with FDOT, or KDOT, I'm sorry. Still back in Florida.
Thank you, Bruce. Any
Terrible.
questions of Bruce?
Yeah, thank you.
One brief. Are other projects in the works for the various other schools? Have we applied for those grant funds or
I
no?
wished I could answer that question,
I don't
Mr.
think so.
Inskeep,
This is
but
the
I
I
don't think so, and it may
I
be
don't
a
believe we
program that
have.
doesn't even exist
Anymore because of the
Yeah,
history.
I have no clue on that, but this is called Grab the KDOT dollars while they're still
Yeah,
available.
let's
While they're
hope they
around,
have
yeah.
them next year.
Yeah.
Very good.
Okay, I would move to approve the agreement for the Safe Routes to School project with KDOT and authorize the mayor to sign.
Second.
Please call roll.
Pyrus de Carvalho?
Yes.
Soldner?
Yes.
Inskeep?
Yes.
Deckent?
Yes.
Dave Light?
Yes, next item, please.
Item 8E, consider 2016 Clink resurfacing project.
All right, this is the Clank project. This is a project that, again, is an agreement with Kansas Department of Transportation. And it includes resurfacing from on K61 from Lorraine Street to 11th Avenue.
So they can see what they're on the screen.
I'll have to look at a big screen. I have to take my glasses off to look at this screen. Essentially, let's see if we can play with this here just a little bit. Here is 11th Avenue. The recycling or the milling and resurfacing project will start back a little bit from the intersection there. It will go ahead and move on down K61 and up past, is that 4th Avenue?
Yes.
And then coming here, and it's paralleling Lorraine. There is the intersection right there of Lorraine and 11th, and coming on up. It's a Cornejo and Sons has been awarded this project, and attached in your packet, I have included KDOT's authorization and recommendation to award the project, which is part of the formality. The project is funded 50-50 by KDOT as well as the city of Hutchinson. Cornejo and Sons was the low bidder at $3,743.45. The second bidder, APAC Shears, was at $413,184.21. The engineer's estimate, as you might see, was $541,100, which is quite a bit higher than the two contractors' bids. And in discussing with staff, just so you understand, that was utilizing asphalt prices prior to the low oil prices. So that's where the cost savings has come in. Furthermore, just to let you know, since this is a Clink project, Clink as being administered by KDOT is changing next year. The city of Hutchinson has consistently received Clink funds every year, and the Clink, K-L-I-N-K, is now being changed to a C-CLIP, C-C-L-I-P, and as opposed to the funds being generated and automatic to each municipality every year, now we're into a competitive basis next year. So that being in mind, and we had actually provided, and KDOT had approved the 541-100, I made a request to KDOT to see if we could utilize that remainder funds between the low bid, the engineer's estimate that was approved, to see if we could increase or maybe add to this project. As bad as I hate to say it, their response was no. And, but nonetheless, you don't know if you don't ask.
True.
So that being the case, I would recommend, staff would recommend your approval for the recommendation of the council to award the low bid of $374,743.45 to Cornejo. If you have any questions, I'd be tickled to death to ask.
Thank you, Bruce. Any questions of Bruce? Not, I would entertain a motion.
I'd move to approve awarding the low bid of $374,743.45 to Cornejo and Sons LLC for the 2016 Clink resurfacing project and authorize the mayor to sign.
Second.
Please call roll.
Pyros de Carvalho?
Yes.
Soldner?
Yes.
Inskeep?
Yes.
Deckent?
Yes.
Dave Line?
Yes. Next item, please.
Item 9, report of city officials.
Jake, do you have anything this morning?
Nothing that can't wait. Thank you.
Can't wait.
Dave?
I'm just going to miss the name Clink. I keep hearing that as a Hogan's Heroes fan growing up. I miss Colonel Clink, yeah. Aside from that.
No, nothing?
Exactly.
And that was Schultz.
Well, that was Schultz, yeah.
That was
That was
Schultz.
Steve?
Do you have a half an hour or so, Mayor? I'm sure you have the time to spare.
Sorry about that.
I'll pass.
You're going to pass? Very good. Nancy?
Nothing.
Nothing?
Nothing.
I have nothing this morning. John?
Just a couple quick things. Budget study session, June 29th, which is a Wednesday, 8 a.m. in this room. And we'll continue our
We're talking about that.
discussion on
8
the
a.m.
budget.
Not 7, 8.
Yeah. 8 a.m. And then just an announcement on fireworks. We will have a community fireworks show sponsored solely by the city of Hutchinson, Brett's Young Injury Lawyers, and Eagle Radio. It's going to be a good show, 10 o'clock. There will be no public seating in the grandstands at the fairgrounds unless you're at the races. There are races that night, and we've got press releases, and Eagle Radio is going to help us with all of that. So we're good to go there. So
Good. Well, big thanks to Eagle and Brett's and Young for
Yeah.
that
Yep.
community.
Very good.
that was a great donation. Brett's and
That's-
Young really stepped up and helping us on that. So
That's great.
And you're wanting a motion to recess into an executive session?
yes,
For how long? What, 10,
I'd say at least
15?
an hour.
Who's getting lunch?
It's coming.
It's in the mail.
I would move to recess into executive session pursuant to the employer-employee negotiations exception KSA 75-4319B3 in order to discuss pending issues related to the 2017 contract negotiations with the city's bargaining units. The open meeting to resume in the city council chamber at 1:05 p.m.
I'll second.
Please call roll.
Pyros de Carvalho?
Yes.
Soldner?
Yes.
Inskeep?
Yes.
Deckent?
Yes.
Dave Line?
Yes.
I'm sorry. I was.